Hello and welcome to another ARML stream. Today we will be covering a few games in A2 and also some games in B2. I'm joined today by Edwin, who recently came back from the Richinomi Open. We both met each other in person for that, and a couple of these players were also there as well. How are you doing, Edwin?
Uh, hey, trying to catch up on work and everything, since I took an extra day off, but other than that, all right. How about yourself?
Pretty fine as well. It was a little easier for me as I am in the city already, and I started work kind of after the weekend. But it took a little bit to catch up on my sleep, being there at like until 11:30 each day. Anyways, the game should start in a couple minutes, and we're looking at a game between Ranjan, Tristan, Israel, and June. A lot of familiar faces here. I think all of these have been covered in the past. So
And let's see, we have people who are new to the division because John got promoted from B1 last season, and June ended up getting demoted from A1. Really had a hard time of it in A1. I think a lot of it was just bad luck. So we'll see if he can't get it turned around here in the summer season.
absolutely. And June wasn't alone. It was really quite a fierce competition in A1, with the cutoff literally being the difference between being positive and negative by a couple points. So, yeah, it's just tough luck. And we saw it in a couple of other divisions as well, where players who we know are skilled and have really good background in the game just got hand after hand that betrayed them over and over. That being said, it'll be interesting to see how these players adjust their play styles both for promoting and demoting into this division. It looks like our first dealer is going to be June, followed by Tristan as the South player. West player will be Sishon. And then last but not least, we have John as North. So, first games of the season, how do you like to play the first games? Do you go for a lot of points? Do you play kind of like testing the waters and being somewhat cautious?
Uh, I guess for better or worse, I just kind of I would probably say that for the most part I play normally, just without really changing much. If I haven't played something before, I might be a little bit more cautious to judge like the first game or two, but otherwise I'd be fairly normal.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I probably just play it fairly normally. And this is a hand that's very easy to play normally by pawning the Haku and the Hatsu. Unfortunately, we see two of the tunes locked up, so Daisangan is pretty unlikely. But this can still be a fast, nice hand for dealer. Could even put it into a Honitsu and wait on like a Ton Donkey or something for Mangan. Let's see, over on the right, we kind of have Pinfu shaped. It's already two Shantae. Would need to build that pension with the 7. So across the way, we have kind of an Itsu chance in Pinzu. We have one of the Dora 2, so
Boom.
but it's stuck in a pension, so hard to use. And then lastly, over to the left, we have two pairs in kind of Tanya looking shape. Maybe a 678 Sanshoku or an Ipeiko.
Boom.
But our first move is from the dealer, who pawns twice.
They did draw the tune, but they decided just to give it up immediately, looking probably just to get a quick hand here. But the problem still remains they don't have their pair. And I don't know what you would think, but in this particular case, sometimes for me, I would have, well, okay, they just do the 9 mon, so their pair is actually taken care of. But would you, for instance, like keep a spare West or something like that in case you needed a Tonki and needed somebody to just pitch something like that? Or would you just try to find a pair normally through draws?
Well, I might have considered keeping the East for the pair
リーチ
and aiming for Honitsu, but with two Yakuhai, I kind of understand taking the most efficient route as well. Obviously, you'd like to have the pair there in advance, but if you end up headless Ishanten, it's not terrible. And here you can see that the 9-mon was drawn, and the Kanchan Chi completed that Ryankan shape, leaving dealer on a 3-6-mon wait, but there is a Ricci here to contest with, and that's a 2-5, so wait for Ricci, Pin, Dora 1, no, potentially, if the two so's one on this. Oh, there's
Sumo.
I was
Sumo.
going to say John drew it and I managed to avoid paying in, but it doesn't matter because we have a sumo. No
Yes.
Ura, so it's a fairly cheap 3-han hand to start with, but it's still a first hand win.
Yeah, and it shuts down that very scary-looking dealer hand with the two Yakuhai pawns and a Chi and the Pinzu. That being said, we'll go into Tristan's dealership now. Also starts with a Yakuhai pair. No Dora this time, though. Dora is the 5, so over on the right, kind of similar to last time, it seems like Shimocha has a fairly good Pinfu-style hand, though we'll need to fill a penchant. Across the way, it is fairly close to Tenpai, that hand, but not a lot of value. And then lastly to the left, probably one of the slower hands, but has 2 Dora.
So interesting for me there. John ended up drawing another 7 so, making a 6-7-7-8-8 so shape. Decides to pitch the 8, probably looking for Pinfu maybe, but he also had the 1-3-5-7 mon. Is that 8 so discard something you would have done as well?
It's interesting because, yeah, you're locking in the good shape and the chance for Ipeco. But on top of just having other shapes to junk, for example, that one Mon could have gone out a turn earlier, you also, with the triplet of 8s, are able to accept the Dora to complete 5, 6, 7, so, which might have been nice to keep around for a bit. But I can't, like, criticize it too heavily. And here we have Tenpai could chase this 5-8 Monrichi, but decides to play it, I don't know. I guess doesn't want to push the 7 or the 3 mon and decides to bail with the 9 mon pair, which is technically a 2-chance terminal. But I feel like with Ipeco, you can just as easily jam it in or take a dama. As such, that's going to lead to Jun dealing in for another kind of small hand, only netting 3,200 points. And we go into this next dealership. This is Sichuan's dealership. Dora is the south, does have 1 south in hand. Will be a little hard to work in, though, unless that pairs up, and there's already 2 pairs in the hand. However, those pairs are very easy to turn into better shapes with any sticky tiles. Over on the right, we have kind of a very mediocre, slowish hand, no guaranteed value there. Could pair up a Yakuhai Hatsu, but that's about it. Across the way, we're looking fairly good for a I was gonna say Jan Peiko with 678, 678, 678, 678, but that's a bit much of a dream, I think. But definitely some kind of Pinfu deal. And then over on the left, we have a fast Yakuhai hand. Could pair up the Dora, could go for Chanta potentially, then that's far ways out.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that because Tristan did have a lot of spare wind tiles and everything like that, a lot of disjointed stuff. Just decided to immediately pitch that and maybe not go for like a Honitsu type shape or something like that. Is there a way that or something that would tell you like maybe I should just keep those and maybe push for some type of Honitsu, or would you just discard the winds like much like he did here in this case?
Well, I'm looking at this hand, and really, it pains me personally always to throw away a Ranmen shape. And so you're either going to throw the Sozu Ranmen or the Manzu Kanshan if you're going for Honitsu. And if I were going to go for Honitsu, I'd go for the 2-4 first. But I think with the hand being as kind of mediocre as it is, it's okay to just go for a fast normal hand. And then you still get equivalent value to a Honitsu with this Dorataki, so it's not that bad either. So this is a once dropped south. It is the Dora, and there's a Ricci on the table now. Scary here. But yeah, as expected, Tristan's just gonna shove that in. Has 3 Han and is pretty well justified in pushing there, and it immediately pays off with that south Baron. And I believe that was taken off of John that time. Yeah, that will be 1,900.
Interesting of that Dora push into the first turn Ricci. I'm not sure I would have been able to do that.
Right. Yeah, it's always, even if it is once cut, it is the Dora. So you have to hesitate for at least a second on that. I didn't get a good look at Ranjan's hand. I was kind of looking at the other hands. Might have had something worth pushing there. Yeah, not sure. As non-dealer, I'm always very hesitant to make shots like that, even if my hand is kind of coming together. And we know that the door basically couldn't be used for that hand because of what we could see, so I don't know if it had the sufficient play to make that push. That being said, there is a very quick reach across the way from Tristan, and this is a
That's a
258
very
609 mon in
nine,
an
yeah.
Patsu, and with no
No,
information
just
there. It was just Richie Patsu, but a very wide force had to wait in two suits. That's unusual.
very quickly into the south round here with a lot of small hands, but Tristan actually getting the benefit of most of those and out to a 10,000 point lead, roughly.
Yeah, it's been a grand total of maybe 7 minutes, and we're already in the south round. And this hand is promising. A lot of really good shapes here. It would be an excellent Shabo to wait on, even if the hand itself isn't worth that much. And now this 3-so gives you options for pin Fujitora 2-so. However, if we take a look over to the left, I'm almost more excited about, once again, that double dragon pawn possibility. And the Hatsus this time are nowhere to be seen. Also, across the way, I want to ask your opinion on this. Is this, the hand across the way, is that something you try and force into a Junchan? Or are you just going to go for whatever
I
comes first and
I
settle
would
for
have
the Sancho?
entertained it for sure. I would have entertained a Junchan for sure.
So in that
Um,
case, do you think you'd be more comfortable keeping the Hatsu over a tile such as the Verso, even if it's cut on the first turn?
I would. The problem is with a Junchan, you need all the tiles you can get.
Uh,
And speaking of which,
this
uh,
is this is a greedy Ricci. This is already a Dama Mangan, but is going for the guaranteed Hanemon on the 8-pin Kanchan. That'll be Junchan Sanshoku with 5 Han, and the Ricci bumps it up to 6. Possible Baimon with a Sumo and 1 Ura.
as I was going back to it with Junchan, you don't have a lot of flexibility there, and you need all the tiles you can get. So discarding for me the 4-so that early, I don't have any problems with because it's not going to use it for anything. Oh,
Unfortunately, that really good hand gets denied by Ranchan's quick Yaku Yaku Dora 1. The 3-mon shove was kind of interesting there. It is an early Ricci from, it was Shishron who Ricci'd that. But just because the door was early doesn't necessarily make the 3-mon safe. It's hard to tell, but it is safer than it would normally be, I think. So I think that shove was okay. Being said,
yeah,
we
I
go
don't
into. Sorry.
didn't see much problem with that myself, really. It's just rather unfortunate.
Yeah. So we go into Tristan's dealership here. Nice, nice Yakuhai. Decent enough shapes. Could get a Sananko out of this if you're lucky. Over on the right, we have an Ipeiko chance. A lot of connected shapes in Monzu. Oh, and it grows even more. Is Ishanten over there too? Quite wide now that the Anko has formed with the 2-mon across the way, kind of very standard hand. But not a whole lot going out, unfortunately. Maybe a 4-5-6 Sancho if you're very lucky. And then over on the left, much of the same, but very mediocre. And immediately beaten out by this other hand. Sichuan, which is a 6-9 weight for Ichinomi.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit sad because if you looked at it, there could have been a possibility for Rian Peiko, but you would lose your pair. And I'm just not sure they were ready to move backwards in that way just to try to get a Rian Peiko.
Yeah, and like this, you can still pick up the Ipeiko with the 6-mon. Unfortunately, from our perspective, we know there's only one 6-mon left in the wall. So unless John has a reason to push, that 6-mon is probably not going to come out. Maybe Tristan would drop it, though. Is pushing as dealer and has pulled that second copy of the East and got in a Chia with the 9-pin Genbutsu. Zishanten now on 2
Yeah, that I was gonna say I thought June might discard it depending, but because it seemed like they were bailing, but it looked like the 9 might have eventually have come out. I'm not sure if they would have had anything much safer.
Yeah. Luckily for them, it is a rather cheap hand. It's a Richinomi, doesn't hit any Ura, so that'll only be 1300. So this hand as dealer is interesting. You have the 5-mon and the 9-mon, which can pick up the Dora for Yankan. You also have a Yakuhai pair, and does decide to go for it and pawn it. You see, the shapes aren't really set with this hand, but Sichuan probably figures that it's easy enough to form the rest of the blocks, and so goes for the first copy rather than the second of the south. And then, oh, interesting decision on the right. To pass that north pawn could potentially open for Honitsu Dora 2. What do you think about that?
Uh, I think once that north is called, because Sichuan is already called the south, you'd really have to question what John is going for. Now, the Honitsu would have been masked because he discarded the 3-mon, but maybe he's just figuring it's not going to be fast enough and he was looking for something different. I'm
Yeet.
not sure.
Yeah, that might be the case. I think it was a mistake to drop the north pair though, because you give up Ishan 10 with 2 Dora, and it's not like you're locking yourself out of other options by tossing something like so and then swapping it for a middle tile later to potentially get a ground mana. And unfortunately though, it is Sichuan across the table who gets the fast Tempai. This is Richi Pinfu, possibility for Dora 1 on the 7-mon. Or 7-mon wait, and currently there are 3 left in the wall.
I'm just looking around, and Sichuan is Ishan 10. I'm not sure what they would discard to go Tenpai. Maybe the 6-pin would be the safest out of all of it, being Nakasuji. Or the
Yeah, Nakasuji is pretty good. 9 Soul is Suji, and it's once dropped. People always hesitate to drop it since it's near the reach tile anyway, because you can have something like 799 Soul, or even a Headless Ishan turn where you drop the 7 Soul and the 9 Soul Tanki, but I think with a Tenpai, I'd absolutely shove the 9 Soul, and indeed decides to do so now, rather than toss that slightly more dangerous 8-pin.
Meanwhile, Tristan's drawing all of June's tiles here, drawing 2 4-mon on consecutive turns.
Yeah, and saying 3 of the 4-mon decides it's relatively safe to drop the 3-mon, even though Suji 3 and 7 is usually not so great. Unfortunately, it looks like Sichuan has decided to fold here, but previously that 9-mon pawn would put them in Tenpai, but passes for now, just keeps the safe tiles. Probably sees
John's
a clear.
actually sitting Ishan 10 himself, although the only way he'd be ending up waiting on the 7 Dora pair, if he did, probably.
Yeah, a little awkward, but plenty of value if it does end up coming out from the Ricci player. Now we know that's not going to happen. And there's currently only 1 4-7-mon left in the wall. One draw left for everyone. So we do have the Haite chance live.
There's Tenpai. Can he discard the 2-mon to take it?
Well, if you extrapolate a bit, the 2-mon might look safer because that 3-mon shoved Tristan. And I apologize, I miscalculated the turn there. There was no Haite chance. There was a Hote chance though. So 1,500 each for John and Sichuan. And I know we're going to go right over to the dealer hand here, but if you look to the left, you immediately see this monster of an Honitsu chance. 3 blocks filled already. Now, if you draw something like the 3 so or the 7 so, you probably just take the Ishanten because you're looking at Pay Dora 1 plus Ricci in a good shape.
You have
But
to take the Ricci if you want first, unless you sumo, because if he wants first place, they're sitting 5,400 out, and just in actually no, just be and Honitsu Dora would only be 52 with the Honba and the extra Ricci stick in there.
right. Well, here we get at least Honitsu Pay Dora 1. So we were going to be guaranteed a Mongon if you could open this. The question is whether you can pair up one of those dragon tiles. And there's been 1 of each dropped, and now 2 of the Haku dropped. So it's looking like it's a tough sell. You still keep that 7 soul around though. Oh, and that's why you're Ishanten now. And with a Ricci, you can get a Mongon out of this if you're lucky. So I don't think you need a Mongon in this case. There is a Ricci stick and a Honba in the center. John's hand here is Ishanten though, and we have a Dama across the way from Tristan on a 4-7, so wait
Eat.
for Hinfu. And is immediately contested by the dealer on an 8-9 mon Shabo that is unfortunately dead. Luckily for Tristan, that 4 mon is Genbutsu, so you can easily slide over that 7 mon that was trying to leave to turn.
It's also interesting in the fact that you look out on the table, nobody's discarded Monzu, and I know John has to call Ricci to win this hand, but you have to figure that people are probably hoarding those tiles, and he's just not going to get it.
Oh, and look at this now. It delays it for a turn, but I imagine that the 7 so could potentially come out if we see a greedy play from Sichuan, though if you draw the 8 mon, I imagine the 3-sided weight Ricci with the chance for Itsu is preferable.
Except the 8 mon's dead.
Yeah. And completely hidden as well.
Eat.
And the 9 mon is dead as
Oh, there's the 9.
Yeah. Comes out as Tenpai is reached on the right for a 6-9, so Ricci can defeat Dora 1. So dealer takes the lead here. It's a very small lead, so we'll want to look to extend that, but this is a fantastic starting hand. You have a chance for 7-8-9 Sanshok. You have that beautiful 3-sided weight in the lower Sozu. There's really not a whole lot that has to be done with this hand. It plays itself. Dora is the pay. Over on the right, we see a double south pair. Also pretty decent shapes all around. Across the way, it's a bit of a miserable hand compared to the others. Very slow given those clunky honors in there, but decent shapes. And then lastly, over to the left in Sichuan's hand, we have, so you can force Tanyao there, but then you lose your pair, and it's something you've got to aim for Ricci with, especially if you want to take first.
The problem with June is that, yes, they have the double south, but being as behind as they are, they really can't open this.
I'm sorry, I've been confusing people's names here. I'm looking at Shiromi and Shinraku and getting the two swapped up. So yeah, it's June's hand that's on the left, and it is Sichuan's hand on the right. Speaking of which, there have been some improvements here. Oh, Tenpai from dealer. Could take the Kun 6 mon Ricci from Ricci Nomi.
I don't think you do, yeah.
Yeah, decides to deny that. That's valid. Taking the early dealer, which is also very defensible there to scare off the other players, but you got to figure that with a weak hand, not seeing Dora and a bad weight, that it probably won't end up very well for you, especially with your point contestant only 1,000 plus. That Ricci stick means a lot.
Yeah, and June here is called the South. Are they just looking to? I'm not sure what they're trying to do with that.
And now this Ricci, this is a trapped weight. And you got to pull ahead. So you're going to take a Sanshoko Nomi here for 3,900. It's okay, but
they could just wait to Ricci one more turn here and put some more space between that 5 mon they discarded.
That's true. That's always a possibility.
Because now you could Katagiri that 7 mon and 7 pin and Ricci just like he just did. Is it Katagiri?
Katagiri. Empty cut. Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly not a fan of those kinds of moves because if it's done right after the Tsuji trap is set, then you draw a lot of suspicion to it. And if it's Sumogiri Ricci, there's always a lot of suspicion. So you're relying on yourself to draw that tile to call the Ricci there. And I'd rather just take the immediate initiative and kind of try and force people off. We do have a Tenpai here with that pawn. And Greets for the Toy absolutely needs to.
Needs it at this point, yeah.
Yeah, so this will be a Mangan. Unfortunately, not enough to move over 30k, even with that Ricci stick in the 2 Homba.
But would put them ahead of third.
Yeah. So hand to minimize the damage. Where are these 8 mon? There are still 3 8 mon left in the wall.
And those 2 5-so are actually still live.
Fortunately, cannot get Sanako. Oh, the Sumo. So reach Sumo Sanshoku is going to get at least a Mangan. Ura 1 doesn't actually add anything, but that is a commanding lead now. And now you can consider, unless you want to get greedy and start bulking up your points for the league, you can consider playing a little more conservatively here.
With this type of hand that he's got to start, I don't think he's going to do that immediately. Maybe if he stalls, not getting tiles he wants, possibly.
Yeah.
But I would imagine he'd try to maybe score some more points with this.
Yeah. Now this is also a delicate round because the door is a Yakuhai, and whenever the door is a Yakuhai, you have that chance for an instant fast Mangan, and that's always very scary. Um, so I don't think that as dealer I'd like to start tossing a Haku if it's live in row 2 and I draw it. I think at that point I'd probably back off a little bit, try to pair it up, and then just fold entirely.
Right.
But it
If it's
remains to
mid
be
row,
seen.
if it's mid row too, obviously. But like early on, I think John could push with this hand. But if it doesn't make any progress, or they draw a dangerous tile like that Haku later on, I think at that point you're more than justified in just being like, I have the lead, I'm done. I don't need to worry about this anymore.
Yeah. Now, luckily, the Haku was Sumogiri'd on the right by. That is
That's June.
June. Okay, yeah, so that is June on the. And the second second copy came out from Toyman. So this Ishan 10 is looking really great, and you have to see, oh, the quote-unquote safe tile June. Actually, it's very safe. It is the Dora indicator. Decides to turn down the wider Ishan 10.
Yeah, maybe he just figures take the Tanyao, Ipeiko, draws the 4-pin. Now you've got Pinfu to boot along with it.
Yeah, I mean, the worst draw you get here is the 1-pin, and that's not even that bad because you have Pinfu there. And that safety of the tune is very reasonable because you are in first place. You don't need to win the hand. If someone presents a scary Ricci, then you can very easily toss the tune and start your fold. And the 2-5-8 pin Suji looks relatively safe against at least June. Sorry, at least Tristan and probably June as well. And now over on the left, Sichuan. So you have a lot of easy ways to fold with this hand.
Did that 5-so improve John's hand at all to discard the tune?
No, it didn't. I'm surprised that it didn't come out, honestly, because it had passed the previous turn, so I would have been interested in shoving it. However, it is near the 6-0 Tadashi from Sichuan, so maybe felt that it was a little bit dangerous to push forward. Don't know what you're expecting to deal into, though.
No.
That being said, the 5-0 does come out as a safe tile. There's a Ricci chase from Sichuan, and that deals into a Nipatsu Mangan on June's side.
Yeah, June manages to flip the placements right at the end, much like they tried to do last turn, and at least salvage a third place finish.
So we're going to see John coming up here with 32 points, taking the first of the A2 division, followed by Tristan with a modest 5.6. We're going to see that Gyakuten happen, which puts June at minus 8.6. And unfortunately, due to the Tatsu dealing, which is kind of unavoidable, we're going to see Sichuan take a last here with minus 29.7. And yeah, as Korak is stating, with no Tsumo, Trista does stay over 30k, which makes this a B top finish.
Yeah, so definitely, and definitely to have a positive set, because if they were below, they would have easily had a negative second place, and that doesn't exactly feel great.
Right, and it's a very slim margin, only 600 points, so any sumo would have done it with that Honba. All right. So we have a little bit of stratification now. It should pop up on the right any second as soon as that game gets in. There we go, with the big view.
Yeah, and those statistics that we see over there, I believe those are from last season, obviously.
Yeah.
So you'll see people with like Crow, for instance, having been promoted from the B1 division for there with his 1062 EV, which blows everybody else out of the water, except for maybe Zalong.
Absolutely.
Well,
Keep in mind, people who are watching, that it's just one game, so these standings mean absolutely nothing at the moment. Sichuan is not in danger of demoting quite yet. or anything like that. We have at least one more game to go in this session, and of course, it's 24 games total, so everything will very easily flip flop throughout the season.
Yeah, and actually looking at this grouping now, when you look at the spring statistics of the people that are now in the A2 league, they may have been from different leagues, but much as what you'd be expecting as you move up the divisions, and A1 was kind of an anomaly last season, but you start seeing the numbers kind of slowly converge upon each other as you move up in the rankings in terms of like win percentages, deal-in percentages, even EV. Um,
Right.
because
Absolutely.
obviously you have those people who have played what consistently enough, have won consistently enough to be up in these divisions. So, no surprise here to see a lot of these figures that you're seeing, even if it's the spring statistics and they're coming from a different division, looking fairly similar.
Right, and that'll even out a little more as the season continues. You'll notice in general that the higher divisions tend to have a slightly lower participation rate. They're more cautious of each other. They more often, whereas the lower divisions are going to have a higher participation rate and sometimes even a higher win rate because there's a lot more pushing going on. Um, so yeah, if you look at an A1 game, it has a very different vibe to it than a B1 game, which generally has a lot more action. All right. I'm not. Let me check if they've started the second game. It looks like they have started the second game. So
Looks like they should be the delayed start should be coming here in just another minute or so.
all right, cool. And this time around, we have Tristan as the first dealer, followed by June, then John, and then lastly Sichuan Store. So going into the second game, there's still not a whole lot of positional play strategy to talk about. It's still way too early in the season. Everyone's just going to be playing fairly normally. I think that's basically what we saw anyway. I didn't see any plays that were overly aggressive feeling, given the background of the players and how I saw them play last season. So it's yeah, it seems like
Yeet.
all around very normal play
Oh
and a
my
double
gosh.
Richie. So this is going to be a double reach Dora one on a con 5. So wait, there are only two left in the wall, but you take those.
Do you though? Okay, it's double Ricci, right? And you wait one turn, and you would have gained Pinfu. Not that it would have known, but it's a 5 so wait. Is there something that would make you rethink again about taking a double Ricci?
Oh, this is a Ricci Pin Fedora 1 and Double Reach Dora 1 are basically the same. And in terms of Han power, Pinfu is actually a tiny bit weaker because you get that 20 Fu on a sumo. So it'd be Ricci Sumo Pinfu Dora 1 for 1326, whereas you get Double Reach Sumo Dora 1, you have a Mangan, which is a 2,800 point difference, I think. I mean,
Well, I
of
guess the
course,
other thing is, I guess the other thing I was wondering is like it's a 5 so it's directly in the middle. Do you take into account that you're looking for a central tile and you're questioning whether or not it may ever come out?
well, to me, this is a Kanchan Dora One Ricci. It's as standard as it gets, at least in Akaari. I'm not sure how different it is in Akanashi, as I'm not super experienced in that, but I think I'm happy enough with it to take it. And in Akanashi, because there's no red 5 soul, it's not as important that you're waiting in the middle. Of course, it's a tile that even if people pushing, they'll likely be able to use. But when you see the button, you push the button a lot of the time. And thinking of the
Speaking of
upgrades,
which, there goes the 5. Boom.
right. And the upgrades were fairly slim. There's two tiles that really give you the pinfu.
Uh,
So,
and like you're saying, like you just hit you all you need to do is do something like a hit and Urador and you got value, much like what he got right there.
right. And you still get that same, in this case, you get the same score if you were to keep the upgraded pinfu.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, because the 30 fu rounds up in these rules. All right, well, that was exciting. And now we have another exciting hand from the dealer. It starts with 3 pairs of 2 Dora. Kind of hard to work in. It's a little bit of a slow hand, but if you get that double East, you're happy. Unfortunately, one of them is already gone. Over to the right, we have three pairs as well. However, they're kind of consecutive skipping pairs, so they can form Ipeko, for example. Across the way, also a couple of pairs, but these are much more connected and more apt for sequences and Tanyao. And then lastly, over to the left, we have eh, we have the north pair. That's what's keeping this hand alive at this moment.
Well, June's slowly improving the hand, still has some work to do on the Monzu side of things, but the Pinzu now looks pretty much set.
Alright, I was gonna say that the Onmon is an interesting choice because I'm not sure. I think it sets you back one Shunten, but it's fairly easy to progress again. It's also worthwhile considering something like 7 Mon, perhaps. But that's a nice sticky tile, and to be honest, the 1-3-3-4 shape is quite weak with the overlap of the 2 Mon. So I don't hate that move. Over to the right, we have 4 pairs now. And then over to the left, we have Harichi. That hand ended up drawing perfectly and got the kind of awkward 1-2-2-2-3 Mon shape, which forms the pair and the penchant. Is going to 1-4 pin wait for Harichi, pay, door 1. Oh, sorry, no door 1.
Now,
Look up.
just quickly though, with that 5-pin discard, a lot of people there's some talk about, you discard a 5-pin like that, you worry about a 1-4 or a 6-9 weight. Now the 9's been discarded. Would you worry about the 1-4 weight if you were looking at that from somebody else's
A little
perspective?
bit. It's a standard slide. If you have like a 5-3 pin and you draw the 2 pin to just toss the 5 pin out, there's no real reason to keep it around unless you have other shapes. So yeah, it would work. We have a Dama across the table. The Sancho Tanya will take this hand. Decided to snipe on that Genbutsu rather than Ricci and chase for the Mangan. But a very respectable 52 and picks up the Ricci stick. So we're in E3 now. Dealer's hand has that Chun pair, has one Dora, and very easy to expand middle tiles in general. So I imagine we'll see the quick call here. Indeed does pawn. Over to the right, Ton pair. Maybe an Ipeko with the 3-4 pin double pairs. You have the 2 Mon to replace those. Another pair now has 5 pairs is Chitoi Ishanten. Across the way, also Ishanten, though you could end up on a Dora Penchan, which isn't great. So you'd like to draw that first. And then lastly to the left, we have 2 Dora, and probably going to try and force this towards Tanyao or 5-6-7 Sanshoku. So as dealer here, how comfortable are you holding on to this 3-so?
Not. Mostly because I'm looking out there and it looks like there could at least be 2 people that would be wanting it. So that also means I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to draw tiles around it either. So it could just end up being stuck in my hand if I'm not discarding it.
Right. I agree in general. I think because it is the Dora and it's a middle tile, it's worthwhile to keep around at least for a while. And since you're a dealer, you kind of have the permission card to play a little more aggressively. In this case, it ends up paying off, and we see a odd series of calls from, I believe that is Sichuan.
Yeah.
Yeah, is tending towards that Atsuzuke, but it is going to be a Ton Nomi. Just aiming to shut down the dealer hand, I guess. It's very aggressive though, and it's very low value. So it could end up backfiring easily.
Well, and here's the other thing: if you're holding Dora, then you know that the hand can't be that valuable. And so for June, for instance, holding 2 Dora, I'm sure that what they see across from them isn't really going to be that scary.
And honestly, I hate this Dama.
Each.
Then you have Dora too. You're supposed to Ricci. Waits one turn, ends up getting a Nakasuji trap, though the wait is just as bad technically. In fact, there's
Yeah,
only
but
one form
there,
on left.
oh, there it goes.
Yeah, but it does connect. Yeah, I think you just have to take the Ricci there at the first place, rather than Dama and potentially waste that hand. And I know you can shift to the Sanshoku, but that's very unlikely. It's about the same percentage as drawing the tile that you win with. So I'm not a fan of that. So I know some people that would advocate for it. So we enter East 4. We go into Sichuan's dealership over here, has the Chun pair. No acceptance currently for the Dora, but has formed yet another pair is Chitoi Ishanten. On the left, we saw a quick call of the East. Because of that Dora too, that is absolutely a pawn you want to take early on. And in fact, even Takahiri, the 9-pin, blocking that in as the pair. Doesn't want to risk getting rid of it ever.
Yeah, and there goes Sichuan, foregoing the Chitoi and pushing with the Chun call.
So decides to Sakigiri the 5, so I'm not sure I really like that, because this hand can still become a normal hand. It doesn't have to be Toy Toy, and as dealer, you're happy to just repeat here, even if it is a cheap hand. You already have 36k. Now instead, you do have the Toy Toy, but it's a little bit slower. Did
I
get
don't
lucky, though.
personally mind it, because they did end up pairing the Forso. The only thing that would have given me a little pause was the fact that I did have a little bit more central pairs to call for that Toy Toy.
Right, yeah, that's my problem with it. And the fact that the South probably isn't going to do anything. I mean, if you pair up the South, it's nice, but other than that, it's like, and there's already one South out, so it's not great Toy Toy material. And just, like, look at this, we have a Chunomi anyway in the end. And you could have at least had a better weight. But it does pay off. And we go into the first dealership. Repeat. So Dora's 4-pin, much easier to use for this hand now, and this is a clear-cut Ponyo. Not much to talk about there. Another Yakuhai pawn on the left, and this time I wonder if we're going to see a Honitsu Force, because otherwise this hand is once again very cheap from John.
If that were the case, wouldn't you have kept the South?
Oh, I probably would, and it looks like John isn't going to commit to that then.
May look for a Chun Dora now that they've drawn the 3-pin.
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. Oh, another nice draw there. Though, unless you form a pair in Sozu, you draw something like the 3-6, so again, it's a tiny bit difficult to use. Could have taken that Chi into a headless Ishanten that accepts a Dora, and you have a pretty good chance of ending on a good weight in Sozu like that. Interesting decision for the dealer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Decides to go for the Chitoi.
And you have two people with Honitsu possibly here in both Tristan and June. Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. The 3-9s, maybe not. 3-9 So's, maybe not, but.
Oh, and Tenpai on the left. That's the kind of the Sozu pair that I was talking about earlier. So we have a 1-4-pin weight. But yeah, I was going to say, as the dealer, I might have felt a little better about tossing the 1-mon there and still floating the possibility of an open Tanyo that can accept the Dora, instead of tossing the 5-pin immediately. We saw it backfire and ended up leading to another pawn. Putting Tristan into Tenpai. It is like 1 pin that comes out first for the cheap Yakuhai, gets the Yasuko.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if a Pinzi was going to come out there based upon what you saw with those 2 pawns, but I guess with a 2-pin being discarded as well, maybe they just didn't think they just didn't believe that could have been a Honitsu or a Chinitsu, and figured the 1 pin was still safe to ditch.
Right, and if the plan was to continue pushing that hand, that would be the time to do it. If you still feel like they're not Tenpai, then pushing the Dora Suji then, instead of kind of saving it for later until you have a hand that's worth pushing for, it is probably better in the long run. Well, it's the same story as it has been for the past couple of hands. Quick Yakuhai pawn from the left, this time with the Dora already worked into the hand in good shapes all around. It actually has an excess of good shapes. That's 4 Ryanman there, only needs 3, so we'll have to shave down. Dealer here is Ishanten. This is a headless Ishanten that can easily, it's guaranteed a good weight actually. And it gets an easy Ricci pin for Dora 1.
リーチ
And that is the case. 5 8-pin wait.
Which I guess for Sichuan's sake was very glad to pitch that 4-5 right then.
Right, though whether you want to continue and push the 4-pin is another thing, because that's not exactly safe feeling either.
Yeah. And you can see
As-
John's hoarded the 5-8 pin there is gonna probably just be stuck.
Yeah, I imagine so. It's I mean, it's the Dora interval. You don't want to be dropping that haphazardly, and the hand doesn't really look like it can justify it at the moment. So for now, it's just playing Genbutsu tiles. Probably gonna see a 3-so, maybe test the tune pair later. And we see with no real safe tiles, Sichuan breaks the 1-mon pair. One of them did pass, so the second one passes. That buys 2 turns of safety. And there's another
And you
5-pin
see-
gun.
Yeah, June draws that another one of those possible outs, and again, not willing to discard those. So it doesn't look like anybody else will be dealing it at this point, and it's gonna just be up to be Tristan to somehow draw it.
Yeah. So that 1-so drop doesn't look as scary as it might, because on top of them being gone, so it's unlikely to be a Tonki, the Ricci cut a 2-so and 3-so from within the hand, so it discarded a Ryanman. So unless it's something like 2-2-3-3, you're not expecting that to deal in very often.
チ
Oh, does take the Ishanten and pushes the Nakasuji.
June's actually all Ishanten themselves, but could end up just being waiting on either the 5 or the 8, or maybe both if they draw the 7. Yeah, see, they are waiting for just the 8-pin Tonki over there.
Or actually, not Tenpai.
Oh, it's 2-2-4. Dang it.
Are we looking at the same hand here?
I was looking at
Oh.
June's hand, and I missed the fact that it was a 2-2-4, not a 2-4.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at Shiromi's hand is, oh, that's very awkward.
ズモ
Yeah, rejects the Tenpai, doesn't want to toss the 7-pin or the 8-pin, and the Sumo comes the next turn, hitting the Dora Takame and hitting an Urakumangan.
Which really big for them, puts them in second place, just a stone's throw away from Sichuan here.
And has the Yakuhai pair to boot in this next hand. There's a Ankan across the table. Probably not going to declare it for a little bit, since that 7-pin there does stick to it, allows for the 8-pin acceptance.
And you can see Sichuan's going to easily call those tunes should one of those come out. I don't know if they'll call the East immediately, but it doesn't matter anymore because now they've confirmed their Yakuhai.
Yeah, is Ishanten here? A rather cheap hand, but you're denying the dealer's
ポン
hand here, which is good, because if this dealership continues, it likely you lose your first place easily. Oh, nice draw from the dealer here. Moves into another headless Ishanten. This one not as good because you have 2 Kanchan shapes.
チ
But it isn't Tenpai now.
Don't.
He decides to take the 2-mon Kanchan and will deal in, and that's that fast hand we were talking about. 1,000 points to end it all, and maintain the first place.
Would you have dropped the 2-pin there? I thought I actually might have considered dropping the 3-mon there.
Yeah, I like the 1-mon Tanki over the 2-mon Kanchan. And then if you draw something like 3-pin, you get a 3-sided weight with 2-2-2 3-pin.
Yeah.
In general, Tankis are a little more versatile. Oh, Ishanten for dealer already. It's going to be a Ricci Nomi, but you can accept the 4-pin here and move into Ishanten for Ricci Pin Fudora 1.
ポン
Well, actually, Tristan's not that far away themselves.
Yeah, that is an Ishanten as well on 1469 pin north. Not bad. Of course, if you pair up the north, you do not get the Pinfu.
June's not declaring Ricci here, opting maybe for a better weight.
And here I think it's more justifiable because this would be a Ricci only bad weight. And there's the
Yeet.
payoff. So now it is a Ricci only, but at least it's a good weight on the 1-4. So you could, of course, have just jammed it initially. And then, for example, if you Sumogiri the 8-pin, you get a Nakasutra on the
Oh,
5-pin.
there's an Ipeko by Tristan. No pair, though, so now it's 3-pin Tonki over there.
Yeah, and that 3-pin is unfortunately only one left, but the same goes for the 2-pin. And the 2-pin was Genbutsu, so tossing it is fine.
Dong.
There's the one, so.
Alright, Ricci, and no Ura, but 2000 with the 3. Alright, so June climbing up slowly has another hand with very easy to expand shapes. Door acceptance with that 5-mon. Over to the right, kind of a very mediocre hand. Could potentially get some kind of 600 or 789 Sanchoku with the right draws. Across the way, we have an Anko of the 7-pin, so that's going to put stop to actually Tristan's hand on the left, which would need to draw a non-existent 5th 7-pin as all 4 are gone hands.
Yeah, it looks like for the most part, most of these hands are slow, except for probably June's maybe, and that 2-pin really helps.
Yeah, now you have a nice 2 Shanten that still has room to kind of evolve its shapes. It's painful to watch those 9s so go by, but right, how much has changed here? I mean, over on the right, we have a 2 Shanten, possibly a headless 2 Shanten, and an improvement there with 6-0 draw. Across the way, a nice Ryanman forms, but still 2 Shanten with 2 bad shapes. Then over on the left, unfortunately, Tristan's hand has not found a replacement for that 8-9 Penchon yet.
But they do get the 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7 Sozu. But yeah, that 8, 9 Pinzu is just a craw on his side.
Yeah, and it's not a tile that's going to come out from anyone. There's no reason for any of the other players to post it.
Would you just ditch the 8, 9 pin in that case? Because I might, looking out of the board and seeing nobody discarding Pinzu.
You could have considered ditching it on that turn when you still had the 7-so in the hand. And fish for something around the 6-mon or the 7-so in the extended Sozu shape. But getting into the second row, it's tough to move away from Ishanten. That being said, you want to use that 6-mon Dora. So I might have tossed 8-pin. That's an option you can take there, and the 9-pin is safe to dealer at least. Could even have considered dropping it way earlier in the hand if you felt like it, but there weren't a lot of good middle tile draws until that 7-so.
That 6 pin's awkward.
Yeah, slightly better Ishanten. And decides to drop that Yonrenke. Seeing all the 4 of the 9s still makes it a little bit weaker. Unfortunately, there's a backfire on the 7-8-9, so from Tristan would have been in Tenpai for Kantuan.
Oh, goes. Wait, what?
I mean, if you're going to Dama, why aren't you taking the win?
Yeah.
Just Ricci
That's
now.
what I was wondering. What am I
this is
missing 100%
something? A Ricci. It's not for Ruthen. It's not like there's too many of them out to not Ricci. You have the Ipeko chance, and you have it's a standard dealer pin for Ricci. I think this is a complete misplay,
Yeet.
unfortunately. Oh, I hate seeing this.
Yeah, I'm a little puzzled by that because I was like, okay, they Dama'd, sure, and now they got the win, but they didn't take it. And
yeah. That being said, love and hearts to all the players. I don't actually hate the players. I just don't like the line of play in this case. It's very, very unorthodox, and I don't really see a lot of benefit to it.
Interesting though, there are 2
Gee.
1 pins still left in that short wall. Oh no, one. No, sorry, with one. There's one left. He's got one. Never mind.
Yeah.
So just a 1 out at this point for the. Oh my god!
And you get the sumo. I mean, you get it anyway with Ricci. There's actually a cake on the right, so that 9 pink wouldn't deal in. And 26 all.
I guess it worked out.
Yeah, I guess so. Nothing catastrophic happened due to waiting around, but anyways, moving along here. That's gonna give June the lead. Dora is the Shah, has one in hand. Once again, a hand that kind of has to pair it up to make any use of it. And unless you're going towards Pinfu and not the open Tanya, it's probably not gonna happen. Over to the right. 4 pairs. Kind of muddled shapes in Manzu at the moment. It's a little awkward if you draw the 4 Mon. But you could go for Tanya across the way, the south pair, only one of those left because one is the indicator. Very low scoring hand, unfortunately, but could pair up that shot to make it expensive. And then lastly, over to the left, we have maybe a Pinfu has to fill some hard to get shapes, has a shape surplus at the. So yeah, it's really looking like June's hand is the fastest.
I don't know. Sichuan there now has a pair of Hatsus and a pair of Souths, and maybe if they draw more Pinzu, could push for even more.
Could potentially do that, that's true. Honestly, I maybe would have gotten rid of the Dora West sometime before the end of the first row if I was dealer here. Because it's really very, very difficult for you to use, and the last thing you want to do is end up holding it around so long, either through greed or fear, and end up dealing in. Oh, we have a Dama over to the right. This is a
Which
tiny
now that
one.
4 would deal in if they were to continue on. Because the reason why, well, for me, I would keep the West only if I decided I was going to make it a West Tonki or something like that. And at this point, that's almost kind of where I think you're going to go. But if you are, you're going to drop that. Well, you were going to drop that 4 Mon, but that's not the case anymore, drawing the 3.
If you're really greedy, you still drop the 4 on here and you go for
Don't.
West Tonki, and that's what happens. That's going to deal into this Dama Tanya only. I don't know. I think that's also one that you could have reached. We've seen this many, many times this game. Dama cheap hands. So there was that one case of that really good 5200 that waited on the Richi Genbutsu, but that had a reason for it. John's
This is an
dealership
interesting
here.
hand.
Yeah, this is probably the hand with the highest chance of getting a round Pigo of all the ones that we've
Boom.
talked about round Pigo for in the past 2 games. But it is also a very easy Shinitsu, which is probably what I'd prefer to go to.
Chi needs to, because he discarded a Hatsu already. That Hatsu in his hand isn't going to be worth anything.
Yeah, it's gonna be, unless you draw it again and then you're counting on the final copy of it, it's not really worth keeping around except as safety. You don't have any reason to keep around safety as dealer here in 4th place. It's South 3, it's go time. You gotta push forward with all you've got. But
That's a nice draw there too.
yeah, absolutely.
Boom.
And then
Yeah, there it
immediately
goes.
shaving. Yeah, there's that final Hatsu. So it is a safe tell now, which is fine because you don't plan to use it anyway.
Oh my
goodness.
gosh! What is that?
So Chinitsu Toy
Gee.
Toy Ishan Tendo, there's a lot of ways for this to get into Tenpai, but don't end up getting that. And if this one comes out, you pawn into 1-4 so Tenpai. Oh, that's a misplay. I think you have to take that pawn. And
Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they were just thinking, "It's like, is there any reason for me to con this?" And no, that could
I
have
mean,
been.
it's sad because technically it is just a 4-so weight, but it's a mangan. You go for those. You're happy to take a kanshan, so why not take a half dead round?
Gee.
Well, as I said, I think they may have just missed that. All things considered.
Yeah, could be. Maybe tunnel visioning in on the.
Oh, there's another call right there. It gotta be now.
Yeah, and that ended
if
up.
you're anybody at the table now, you're pretty much petrified. Oh,
That is a strong
that's
push.
a brave torso draw. Discard.
I don't know if I like that, to be honest. But it does pass. So we have 2 of the same Tenpais. The 2-5 so is just dead unless someone decides they're going to rotate off of it and push live Sozu for some reason.
Dom.
There's
Yeah.
there's a 2 on draw discard. Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Ooh.
I'm not entirely sure, but I think if you take that chi there, that the the pawn that we were talking about, that the 4, so it does go to John because it moves the draw back or forward one. I don't know. I'm not going to make weird speculations about Occult. Dealer's hand here. Very nice. Itsu is popping out. There you go. Yeah, very fast headless Ishanten. Guaranteed Itsu. Unless you draw 1-2 pin, I guess. Though there's no real reason that you couldn't just toss that back if you felt ambitious.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a Richinomi bad weight. Over to the right, we have Tristan with a relative lead.
There's the Itsu.
Yeah, that is the Itsu. That's going to confirm the Itsu on the 3-pin Pencha, and it's going to be Richie Itsu for at least 7,700. And this gets you right back in the game, shoves you over 30k, and gives you a very good shot at taking first.
Is there anybody who can challenge him? John is getting close.
Sumo.
Oh, never
Oh,
mind.
the final 3 pins ripped from the wall. Richie Sumo, Itsu. No Ura, but still a Mangan. And yeah, large gap now. You have close to a 12k lead over second place, and that has only one person over 30k. And another kind of very good hand here. You want to replace that 1 pin with another middle tile, but you're looking at Richie Pin for Ipeigo, door 1. And that can easily sink June across the table for an A-top win. Now, if you are the other players, like let's say you're June here, are you going to try and push for first still, or are you just going to try and stay over 30k?
I think it depends on the hand that I'm dealt. Like, given his hand across the way, I'd almost try to find a way to get this over with if possible. Just I don't care. Just get any hand, score points, finish second, finish over 30k. I don't know if that's a hand that could allow me to take first place, and I don't want to necessarily have to go wait for another hand, because for all I know, dealer could get a big hand and then it doesn't matter anymore. So in this particular case, I would just rather take a quick victory here or something and just get out of here with a positive second.
The Tumon here in the dealer's hand was a possible discard instead of that 4 pin. Would have been a better sticky Ishanten, though there is that overlap in the Pinzu that you already have. But as is Ishanten for a Ranpeiko or a I guess, and Ento it's a 2-5, so 1 mon now. Dama's that. I think that's a proper Dama here because you have a Mangan already. And the weight is actually quite weak. There's only 5 tiles left from your perspective because the 1 mon is dead and there's only 1 Tuso left. And we see there's actually 3 left in the wall. So yeah, this is really gonna this is the cherry on top if you win this.
Still looking around and seeing if anybody
Sumo.
can... Oh my god!
Sumo Ipeigo Dora for Haneban. That sinks everyone.
That hurts! That hurts!
Wow.
Ooh.
All right, not a glamorous hand here, but I think you've had your fun.
Yeah, you can easily just go no 10 here and be like, here, have some points. I'm done.
Yeah, I'd even consider Hypotibori here. Though, if you want to keep hitting June, that's a possibility as well. To keep them as far away from 30k as possible to profit the most out of this big
because
win.
June has a hand that could get themselves back over 30k.
Yeah, especially with the Dora being the 5. So this is a easy called Honitsu
Home.
Hatsudora one. And there we go. Oh, we have a 2 Shanten from dealer here.
Kanchan shapes aren't going to be fun, unfortunately.
And then what about the other players? I mean, on the right is okay, but it's not the material you want to get over 30k. And then over on the left, it's not really what you want to take third, though. You know, you have the Dora Kanchan, you have Tanya potentially. It's just a little bit slow as is.
Well, I mean, if you're fourth and John, you're probably just looking for a hand to take over third, and if you're lucky, maybe second. I think if you're Tristan, you're trying to make sure that John doesn't catch you, and maybe if you get the chance, have a hand that can pass June for second. I think
And
that's
if you're Sichuan, you have a dealer Ishanten with Pinfudora 1. Though, yeah, we have the quick Richi here for 3/6 Mon, so that's going to be a Richi Pinfu. Currently at 2000, but Sumo and Ura 1 would make this a 52-point hand. Oh, Tenpai with that hand. It's not the Honitsu we were talking about because of that 678 Kanchan Chi to accelerate it. But with
right,
that
but at this
on
point,
the
they're
table,
just looking for second. I mean, if it's a negative second, it'll be a second place, and I think they're just taking that at this point.
yeah. Unfortunately, didn't get the chance to con that Hatsu because it was a Chi into Tenpai, and you can't con after that, but probably doesn't want to either. And give third place more chances of overtaking.
Oh, no.
This is very awkward. Yeah, waiting in 3-mon Tanki would be a 3-mon Tanki, which is awful. But it's only Richi Pinfu.
But that's 22-5, and that's enough to put them into
Oh,
second
right,
place.
with the repeats.
Yep.
So we're gonna have Shiromi being an A top win plus 50, absolutely massive. After that last place of minus 29.7, the previous.
It actually reverses everything because John taking that fourth place finish now is basically 0.
Right. And we have Tristan here taking a small minus 7.5, not too big a blow. Unfortunately, another third for June. That's going to put June in a temporary last place. And then John is going to take the big negative here with minus 30. But because of that first in the previous game is still positive by 2.6. All right. Well, I believe that is their 2 scheduled games. Let me take a look and see where the other A2 games are. It looks like they started another game actually just a second ago. That, or we can cover. Oh, I don't believe the B games have started yet. Do you want to take a look at A24 for now?
We might want to. I'm looking at this, and it looks like I think the other game that we were. What was the other game that we were trying to look at here? It was in the B2 division, right?
Yes, I believe. Was it B23?
Let me go here. Let me see if I can't find what's happened here. I think they may be having issues trying to get themselves logged in. So it's B23, and if I'm not mistaken, when I was looking through their channel, yeah, somebody was having issues logging in. So it looks like B23 won't actually be held today.
All right.
So
in that case, yeah, we'll move into A2. A24, and this is going to be a game between Aaron, Kevin N. One sec, that's all I remembered. Christian M. and Daniel N. And this is interesting. I was telling this earlier, but two of these players, Kevin and Aaron, actually played their final game together in the Richinomi Open, along with me and Anya. So they have a little bit of experience going into this with each other. And those are Staten Island Bowler and CS Blue, who are currently slated for East and South State. Followed by, who is that? Who is SGS? That has to be, I believe that is Daniel, and then Christian is Krellum. I should know Kralum because they are in the New York City club.
And we got the standings updated, so we can see what happened in the first game there, with Daniel taking what looks like a huge first, with everybody else being negative.
Yeah, plus 43.8 is quite a high scoring first, given the UMA.
Yeah, so they finished with a 23.8 with 52,800 first place.
Yeah,
Kevin had a 28,400 second. Oh no, this is zero. Yeah, no, wait. 23,400 second, because they got a zero UMA for that.
got it.
And then minus 8.2 would be a 21,800 for Christian. And then Aaron would have been at 21,000 flat.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. So yeah, 3 negatives, 1 positive should be an 8. Looks like we have another 2 minutes before this starts. I'm not going to take a short break. So just a second. About that, folks. I had a small distraction in the background for the past few minutes that was picking my mind, so that is dealt with now. And we still have a couple minutes before we start here. So I guess I could talk a little bit about the play styles as far as what I know based on the people I played in person. So Staten Island bowler, that would be Kevin N, is a very action heavy player, likes to push for larger hands. Though he did tell me the other day that he kind of just takes whatever comes to him and goes with it as fast as possible as well. Um, Kevin ended up very close to the demotion line last season, but managed to scrape by due to the results of the final games. Perhaps going to play a tiny bit more conservatively this season to avoid any kind of catastrophes like that again. CS Blue, that would be, is I'd say a very well balanced player, very confident in their play, and has the skills to back up their current standings for sure. That being said, I haven't played with them a whole lot, so I'm not sure about their play style. And the same goes for Daniel and Christian. But we do have a game starting here, though, and it's Staten Island Bowler who starts with the double tone pawn. So, I mean, there's not much to say about this hand, really. Edwin, okay, you are here. Good.
Yep.
All right, good. I was worried I was muted for a second. Yeah, double tone pawn here. Could go into Toy Toy. If you get Sadanko and the Haku, you're looking at a Hanuman. But I think just going for the fastest hand seems reasonable. Over on the right, maybe an Itsu. Already Ishanten for 678 Sanshoku though. So maybe Richi, Pinfu, Sanshoku. If you get the 6-mon, you also confirm the Tanyao. Across the way, pretty decent hand as well. Needs a little bit of help, and that Tuso certainly does help. Over on the left, probably one of the slower hands of the bunch and not a lot of value.
Yeah, and with 2 calls already, they're probably just going to pack it in unless they can quickly build something here.
Right. It's always interesting to see how the North player responds to the dealer calling like this, because if you have a bad hand, you don't really want the dealer to continue going forward. You want someone else to have enough time to kind of break the dealer's hold here. So sometimes players will shibori tiles, which means to choke them, and you won't give the dealer tiles that you think they'll need. You'll play tiles that they've already discarded, you toss their Suji, you kind of play a preemptive defense against them. That being said, Christian has managed to move into Ishanten, and it's a fairly good Ishanten, even though the value isn't very strong. Oh, Tenpai on the right. That is the
Each.
best tile to draw into Tenpai. Confirms the Tanya. At the very least, you have Richi, Pinfu, Tanyao, and the Takame is the 8 pin. That would give Sanshoku.
There's
And
Tenpai for dealer now.
And of course, yeah, dealer will shove that 9 in. It's not too terrible looking, given that you see 3 of the 8s. That's a 1-4, so wait. We can see that there are 5 of those gone, so there's 3 left in the wall. Oh, and gets it though. So that is triple Yakuhai for a total of 7,000 with that stick. That's 2k all. Unfortunate because Aaron's weight there was arguably superior, though the value was somewhat similar. The dealer triple Yakuhai 6,000 versus Mentampin.
That is a very nice 7
Sumo.
so Penchon draw, or 7-mon Penchon draw for dealer.
Yeah, continuing with those good draws to start off with is already 2 Shanten. If you draw the 3, so you go into a sticky Yishanten, you can attach anything to the 5-mon and 5, so we can draw the south into Tenpai. And there's Yishanten. Over on the right, we have the Ton pair. Probably just want to speed this ahead since the shapes are bad.
Kang.
On the Ton pair and
Each.
go to town, getting rid of this dealership. But there's a fast con into a Ricci over on the left. The new door is the 4, so that's 2 new door for that Ricci player, and that's a 4-7 pin weight. There are still 5 left in the wall. Dealer Tenpai now can chase on the 3,
Each.
so it's once drop, decides to do so. Only 2 left because 1 is the new indicator, and actually only 1 left in the wall. So it's kind of a risky chase, but you are the dealer. There's 2 Dora flipped. It's absolutely understandable to chase with the Richidora one, even if it is weight.
Well, and the only way you can improve is to draw around the 5-mon that you discarded, right? And you already,
Right,
you
and
already held
even
most of
that's
those tiles.
yeah, even that's a Tonki. Though you do get some uncle like that. I'd be very surprised if the dealer ends up winning with their inferior weight here again, though. And if someone decides to fold, they might toss the 7 pin. Or I guess the 1 pin is makes the 4 pin Nakasuji to the dealer and Hasuji to the non-dealer, so that someone might shove that eventually.
Is Aaron gonna call here?
Well, I guess
Not to.
yeah, stays the course. Doesn't want to mess with a dealer Ricci, a non-dealer Ricci, and an extra con on the table. Oh, and there's the 7 pin sumo. The Rich sumo will go to no Ura, so it stays at Mangan. Would need 2 Ura to make that happen. But that's going to kick Kevin off of his dealership and give Christian the lead. So we go into Aaron's dealership here, has a nice Yakuhai pawn. Door is the 1, so has that in the hand, though the shapes are kind of awkward. Once that pawn is made, though, it's easy to call ahead. Over to the right, very awkward all around. Could potentially get a pinfu. I apologize, I didn't see that's a 1-2-3 mon. Actually, interesting move here. Karigiri 5 mon. It's also a bit of a Sakigiri trap. Fills it in immediately though, and moves into Ishanten. That's also a preemptive cut of the 5 pin to give a Suji trap on the 8 pin that's a little more convincing, though you do sacrifice tile efficiency like that. That's always the drawback with these kinds of tricks.
Well, and the other thing is, it's almost confirmed the 3 so is their pair, so that Dora isn't really going to be useful, is it?
No, it isn't. If you wanted to use the Dora, you could potentially switch the pair around. Like there, for example. I don't really like it that much though, because now you're going to have a guaranteed
You're going to have a bad weight
Ricci.
regardless. Yeah.
And another thing about dropping that 5 pin earlier is you gave up the 5-7-9 pin Yonkan, which gave you a better shot at Pinfu. So it felt like a little bit gimmicky, whereas the 5 pin Ricci can still tempt out the 8 pin if you don't Sakigiri it. Well, dealer here has been two-shunting for a little bit. Does improve to a more pwnable hand. Always nice to be able to call from any of the players. I
We
probably
do
would
have an
call this.
Ishanten across the way from Christian. Although would love the Formon to fill that in as opposed to having to wait for it.
And look at this. That one so keep has paid off now. That Dora has paired up, and with an 8-pin draw or even a 3-6-pin draw, you have a decent Ricci now. So Daniel's hand could have potentially backfired in a lot of nasty ways and has lost efficiency, but has gained value as a result. Interesting choice here. I didn't know about you, but I like tossing the 2-pin because then you can pawn into Tenpai and also cheat into Tenpai and you keep the Dora.
Yeah, I think I might have agreed with that, mostly for different reasons, because I'm looking out on the table and I only see 2 middle Pinzu discarded. I don't necessarily feel comfortable having to try to get Pinzu to finish this hand at this point.
Yeah, and I don't really want to be dropping the Dora going into round 3 either. It's not terrible. You see a lot of the tiles around it, but you could have been Tenpai with that chi there if you had stayed the course and dropped the 2-pin instead. Does improve to a slightly wider callable Ishanten. Though
But
with the
again,
5-pin's gone.
it's on a Pinzu weight, and I just don't know if you're going to get that.
And that weight is indeed dead right now. Though if we see a Tenpai on the left, it might come out. We have a Dama on the right for Pinfu on the 3-6 pin with Dora 2. Tough choice here because you see an overflow of that 4-pin. Tadashi decides to fold.
This is a call for K10. They're going to pay in, right? Oh no, they still go. They're going to go K10 a different way. Hopefully, I guess.
Why are we calling that?
I don't know, because I thought by that call they'd just discard 3-pin and deal in, but maybe they're thinking that they can still make a hand out of this.
I think if you're gonna call there, you should just take the Tenpai. It's a double 1-chance 3-pin. It's not that dangerous looking. Oh, we have a temporary disconnect. Exciting. Fortunately, dealer does not find Tenpai here. Twice cut east has come out, and we have 2 players Tenpai. Kralem across the way did have the Khan Formon for the Impeko. But it was really that Pin Fedora 2 that we were looking at. And we're going to go into Daniel's dealership here with the Yakuhai pawn. The door is the Haku, has a single of that. It doesn't look like anyone else has the Haku, so it could draw into that relatively fast. Over on the right, we have 2 pairs and an Anko, already 2 Shanten, though lacking in value. Could go for a Chinitsu if you're ambitious. Then the rest of the hands are kind of very mediocre looking, except maybe on the left, it can develop into a fast Ricci. And now with that draw, definitely can. So it has to decide between keeping the 6-8 pin Kanchan or the 6-8 so Kanchan. Not a lot of info to tell you which one's better at this stage of the game.
Yeah, nothing really. No indicators. You just choose one and go with it.
Nice thing is by keeping this 6-so around, you can still draw the 5-so and have a Sanmenchan 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-so. Oh, unfortunate backfire. Yeah, there's nothing telling you that one was better than the other.
Yeah.
It's just tough luck. And decides to cut that completely. So we have a fast dealer Tenpai here. This is going to be a Hatsunomi. And we see the Dora shove in the second row, so that's probably going to alert the other players that something is up with the dealer. I don't understand breaking Tenpai there, though. That's a
Especially
good
with
point.
what you saw with your Simochav, like
Each.
looking at some type of Monzu or wanting Monzu.
Comeback for Aaron here. Gets that 7-pin. Breathe a sigh of relief that he's not going to be punished for everything. It has a 1-4-pin wait. Now the trouble is, Christian here is Ishan 10 for a Chinitsu Toy Toy. And possibly even a Sana Uncle.
The good news is that if they draw the 1 or the 4 pin, they're probably getting paid off.
The bad news is that if the
Don't.
dealer draws 7 mon, that might come out immediately. But that Pinfu wins. Richi Pinfu won. So a bit of a consolation prize after that backfire. And that puts Aaron closer to 30k. So we have a very close 3-way tie almost among second, third, and fourth.
Home.
And it's Christian here who has really pulled ahead. 4 pairs. So maybe a Cheetoy. Could be a normal hand as well. Decides to keep that 1 so around. I guess looking for max acceptance of the Dora. If I'm going for Cheetoy, I kind of prefer the south weight. But actually, the south is dead. That is in Daniel's hand over to the left, which is looking like it's in Ishanten. Yeah, that is in Ishanten. 7 mon 6014. So I think could transition into a Sanako if we draw another 4 mon. But this weight upgrade seems preferable. Now, if you're a Toyman, are you going to force the Honitsu here?
At the end of row 1, it's debatable. The 8 so is not exactly a great weight to fill in anyway, so my guess is if you were to get that, you might take it. If I drew Monzu instead while I'm waiting, I probably would pitch the 7-9 and go for it. But if we're just going to continue spinning our wheels like this, I'd be more inclined just to take what I can get.
All right. So we have a significantly better Ishanten to the left. Now has a Ramen. Perfect Ishanten.
Oh, they are going to push it at this point.
All right, that's very defendable as a move. And actually, seeing the 7/7/5 mon drop on the left from Daniel might give you some confidence that the 6 mon is left in the wall, and that would be correct.
As they draw it.
the taunt is left in the wall as well. So this is a nice little Shampon here, which has the potential to be a Mongan with the Shaton Honitsu. And also a bunch of tiles that you can call to improve the weight, like if you call that 5 mon. Decides to keep the Mongan chance. So.
Now, Kevin had the option to call that Haku, but didn't. Would you have called it?
That puts you in Tempai on a 7 so weight. I probably would. The 9 mon looks relatively safe because you see all 4 of the 7 mon. Oh, I do not like that Kang. I don't understand it.
Yeah, that breaks up your hand quite a bit, doesn't it?
But you get 4 Dora, so I mean.
Oh my god! Did you draw this? Oh my!
What is this?
Gosh.
This must not be allowed to happen. Please.
And think
draw
about
the
this:
the
Haku's wasn't called. If you draw that, do you really think that would pay in? If you were somebody else,
players might see the lag on it from earlier because there's a little bit of a wait there, and then decide like, okay, might be dangerous. But like, yeah, I don't know. Well, as it stands, there is only that Haku left. And we see a recovery of Tempai, Aaron here.
It's just a furry 10 though, because they already discarded the 9.
Yeah. Oh, live? Oh, it's Punska Hatsu. Yeah. Wow, disgusting play from Kevin there. Ended up paying off with a 4 Dora Ricci on a once dropped honor. but of course gave up the increased Geire for the potential Ipeco in middle Sozu. Definitely a controversial con, but it paid off. So we go into South 1, Kevin's second dealership at 26.7. Everyone's still relatively close, so we get a little bit above 30k. Obviously, you want to take first with this, but if you can just approach first, that'd be good as well. This hand isn't very expensive looking at the moment. Could get a 1-2-3 Sanchoku if you get the right shifts, like that helps. Over on the right, 2 Mandraw gives Aaron another Dora here. Has that 4-6-8 Mon Ryankan. Decent shapes all around. Easy Tanya here. Then across the way, not terrible compared to some of the hands we've seen before, but very slow and a little hard to develop into value. And then lastly, over on the left, we have 2 Dora, and this is a hand that you probably want to speed towards Tanya, but it's difficult because of that 2-3 so.
And Kevin's been kind of meandering around here a bit. Maybe thinking about the 1-2-3 Sanchoku, also has several pairs, has been kind of hedging everything. The 1-2-3 Sanchoku is still possibility, is still there, but so is 7 pairs, and so he continues to hedge.
And it's always tricky when you do that because a lot of times when you're hedging multiple Yaku, you end up giving up efficiency somewhere else. Like this can be
This would
so
be
key. Okay, yeah.
I
Unfortunately,
would say
this is
that 4-pin drop was basically forcing the question for him.
oh, so we have a Ricci here probably. Knowing Kevin, this is gonna be a Ricci.
リーチ
Yeah. So it's gonna be Ricci no Mi waiting on the half Suji 5 mon, and then I guess
Boom.
the 6 pin is half Suji too, but it's not the kind of Suji you want to push into this. Now
But
the 5 mon is not Suji.
Well, here's the thing. That 6-pin could be more likely to come out because if you took that 5-pin for what it might be, you'd think, okay, well, you might be worried more about a 1-4 weight, but if you look over there with 2 9-pins discarded, it might not be 6-9. The only way you'd be worried is if it was a 3-6-pin weight instead.
That's true.
So,
That's a possibility. Over on the left has Mawashi'd into an Ishanten from Yangan. Very wide Ishanten. His Tenpai now takes a 2-5 mon weight. Tosses the Genbutsu 7 mon. Unfortunately, the 2 mon are all gone, the 5 mon are 3 gone, so there's a single 5 mon left in the wall, and both players want it. 6 pin only has 1 copy left either, so it's 2 versus 1. So unfortunately, very easily ends in a draw for both players. So Kevin probably relieved if it ends in a draw, because when you Ricci with a bad weight and no value, you see a door pawn to the left, you gotta scream a little bit inside. Oh
Sumo.
my goodness, the sumo. Ricci sumo. Ura 2 for Mangan. So rewarded with that Ura, which is why you Ricci hands like that in general. So that's gonna put Kevin in the lead right now with a 40k. We have Christian behind by around 7k, and then the other 2 players competing for third at the moment, but Aaron is still not 30k, so with it only being South 1, this can easily swing, especially with the amount of pushing and action we've seen so far.
Michael's already foregone the door looking for that Honitsu. Or, sorry, not Michael, Christian. So I don't know where I got Michael from.
Right. Does take the Tone Pawn as the option for the Haku Pawn as well. So once dropped Yakuhai. The ruse is kind of already up already. You've tossed a few tiles in the other suits. You broke a group, you tossed a 7 on the first turn, so people know the suit that you want by now. Whether whether Daniel chooses to ignore that, though, is another thing, because Daniel is Ishanten.
リーチ
Kevin draws that 2-pin and gets a
Jan's
really
Ricci.
good way.
Now, it is a 3-sided weight. It's 4 7-pin 2 mon, but actually you see all the 7-pin
Each.
already. You see 3 of the 2 mon, and there's only 2 4-pin left based on what we can see. So it's not as good as it seems at a first glance. And being chased here on a 4-7-pin weight, there's no way that players are going to deal into each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Though someone might toss the Tumon. Christian might toss it. We're probably just
Not
gonna
at this
fold.
point. They've already
Yeah,
kept the 2 mon in the 4-pin. I think they're pretty much done with it.
yeah, especially with this Haku Bale completely out. So, 1, 2. Yeah, there's 2 4-pin left for either player to sumo. With the way it's been going, Kevin is probably going to get it. Oh, we have Tenpai on the right. Aaron taking A7, so Tonki. 1 4-pin left now. Well, that's technically an expanded weight on the 258 mon, but would be for your 10. Two mon
Yeah,
is Suji. Okay,
this
that
is
has
looking
enough.
like this is like an inexorable march to a draw at this point.
That's what we said last time. Okay, okay, good. No more witchery. This time, 1,000 for everyone. And that's going to put Christian very close to the 30k line again. Oh, look at this dealer hands. It's fast-ish. You want to draw more middle tiles when the developer shapes a little more because it's, well, you need a whole nother block and then you don't want to get stuck on the 6-8 mon shot if you can avoid it. That 3-pin helps because now you can accept the door and forward again. But look at the left. Is this get this Kokushi, right?
Yeah. There
It's
was a lot of wins and dragons early drawn in the beginning of that hand, and it just did not look very good. So yeah, Kokushi it is.
Yeah, it's a 3 Shanten Kokushi. Let's see, the tunes are 3 times live. The 9-pin is once live, unfortunately. Oh, there's the tune 2 Shanten.
The south is going to be the big problem here.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to draw the final copies of 2 more tiles or wait on the final copy. And it becoming increasingly more obvious what's going on there as well. Luckily, that also makes for a good hand to fold with.
Hey, there's one of the Hakus, so there's only 3 copies left. Here the north.
If you drop 2-pin, you could. Yeah, you can hedge a Chitoi here. Now, if you're unconfident about the Kokushi, you could also drop one of your honors, keep the 2-pin for a pair, and give some more value to the Chitoi. But as is, you can also potentially get a Honro Chitoi without the 2-pin.
I was gonna say, oh, there it is.
Ishanten.
There's
Or
the
Tenpai?
Haku.
Oh no, Ishanten. Yeah, there's the Western.
Still for the south. Yeah, I was just saying, like, there's one of the Hakus, so it's getting even closer now.
Kevin here on the 6-mon Tonki hasn't been able to draw anything that he deems satisfactory as a weight. Hey, Tonki? That's not bad. Just jam the Rishi here. I don't know, this is a very passive play, but I guess if you're scared of the Kokushi, you don't want to reach in, potentially deal in. But still, if you think they're Tenpai because that 9 so overflow, maybe you don't even toss the north. It's a tough call.
Perhaps 7-pin doesn't really help, but they're going to take it anyways for now.
Still looking for that final south. Alright, takes the 9-mon Tonki because it's a Suji trap.
And it's a terminal, and if Christian's going to bail on their
interesting, you know, Christian does quote-unquote bail, tosses the safe pair.
롱,
Comes north. Oh, the 9-1 comes out. Richie only. I think I would have been fine with the Peitanki being once dropped. Oh,
I might
another
have
good
been.
dealer.
Oh, and that two pin first draw is definitely helpful.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I mean, it's pretty much in the same vein, really, because again, person going for a Kokushi going to be discarding probably a lot of terminals and honors, so probably that Peitangi is just as good as that 9-mon, really.
Dealer Ishanten already. It's a sticky Ishanten. You can draw the 8-pin though and get a 6-9 Soryanan, which would be nice. Probably gonna keep that 8 mont. You can accept the Dora.
Yep.
Looking around, kind of a jammed hand on the right. Oh, but now 4 pairs and 2 Dora. So I expect we get a Chitoi shift. Maybe a 1-mon or drop the 1-3 so. Alright, commits to it. Drops the 7-pin.
Yeah, if you're going to commit to the Chitoi, 7-pin's got to go, probably, in my opinion. Anyways.
Maybe a 3 so.
That 5-pin makes it a little awkward there, though.
Interestingly, decides to toss the 1 so first over the 3 so, which, if you're going for Chitoi, ends with a worse Tonki. But I think both are going to go now. Yeah. Across the way, we've just formed 3 pairs. Over on the left, we have 2 pairs. No one really jamming each other up terribly, though. A dealer has been Ishanten for a while. Yeah, dealer is probably the one that's jammed the most because a lot of the stuff around the 8-mon is just gone.
리치,
Tenpai, 4-7-pin Richi on the left for Richi pin Fudora 1 from first gen. And dealer's just gonna shove a 5-mon into Ipatsu. I feel like that's very reckless.
Yeah, you had the 8 so you could have discarded, even if it confirms the 7 so as your pair. That was definitely 100% safe.
Yeah, and the 5-mon being close to the door makes it extra scary. But you already have a lead, there's no reason to be making moves like that.
롱,
Unfortunately, he's gonna shove another Risuji in dealer. Not really sure what the intention was there, but it's gonna cost Kevin 5,200.
And make it a little bit more uncomfortable for them with their lead now shrunk down to 4,500.
I think so. Ooh,
This is
very
hand from
fun
dealer.
hand. This is nice. This is a pawn and go kind of hand. So you can convert to Honitsu with some lucky draws. And you're looking for a 5-mon draw, then you're looking for a 3, 6, 9. There's like some other draw around there. Oh, this works too. And commits to it.
Yeah, I was saying, and they commit to it. Although on the right there is a Pinsu
Chi.
Honitsu, or
And,
possibly Chinitsu.
right, and decides to go for that as well.
Oh, there's a con.
2-so is Nudora. Rinshan summons the 2-so, but has dropped the 1-so on the previous turn, so a bit of an unfortunate backfire there. But because
Chi.
Christian isn't Tenpai, he's perfectly happy to keep away that Furitain, to keep around that Furitain man. You can't Chi there, he wouldn't have the Yaku. Is Ishanten now. But then again, so is Dealer, and over on the right is that, oh, it's Ishanten from Chinitsu, and you get the 5
Yeah.
that's really good.
홈,
And it's not just Chinitsu, it's Chinitsu Dora 3.
Decides to take the Tonki 2-mon weight. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting a Haku Tanki here would be clutch. And
There's Tenpai on the right.
5-pin Kanchan. Of course, dealer will shove.
1.
Do you call this? Yeah, you do, don't you? Your way gets better, doesn't it? No,
Yeah, it
actually, wait, does
does.
it? Slightly?
Well,
Maybe?
it's 3 versus 2, but the 1 pin is of arguable better quality for getting a
ポン
run because people are unlikely to be able to use it with the 2 pin in your hand. Oh, there's that 5 pin, unfortunately. Now it does look a little bit spooky, but goes out because dealer Mangan Tenpai is dealer Mangan Tenpai.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody's really backing down at this point.
Yeah, so we're looking at a 1 versus 1, 1 2-mon versus 1 1-pin.
ポン
And Kevin Ace Tenpai
Tor-
now joins the fray. Oh, what an no con? Actually,
This is just
Con there would
basically-
be Con would be interesting because you completely visibly block off that final 1-pin, but at the same time you let everyone know you have Thora 4, probably Chinitsu.
Yeah, exactly. And now any Pinzu is just like, no.
ポン
Although, and now Christians decide, you know what? I'm just gonna try and take this Toy Toy. Apparently,
Alright, and with the 3-pin having passed 2 turns ago, it's alright for Kevin to just drop it there. Specifically because it was just Sumaguris from Daniel. If there was a Tadashi in there though, it would no longer be safe. Ooh, Haku comes out. Oh, decisions. 8-mon or 2-mon? 2-mon will deal in. Oh,
there it goes. There it
Hold on.
goes.
ドン
oh no, but you have to deal with it. Yeah, there's no choice there. So,
No, everybody's pushing. Like there's nothing. You can't do anything. It's just
yeah.
pain. It's just a lot of
So,
pain.
yeah, that Ankon from Toyman will end up giving Kevin 3-door for a Mangan. And it unfortunately drops Daniel very, very far down here. 6,100. Now, Daniel's starting hand isn't that bad. Can force a Richi Chanta, but it's going to take a while to complete. Aaron's hand here, well, that helps a little bit. Could shift to a 7-8-9 so the Choco, maybe even 6-7-8. It's Kevin with the fast Yaku high pawn, though. The rest of the hands aren't really comparable in speed.
Yeah, and with that huge lead now, Kevin just wants this over and done with now. Doesn't want to have any more of those hands just like that last one.
Now, that lead would not be as good as it is right now if it wasn't for that Ankon that made it into a Mangan. The Tuso became the door there, I think, after the pawn was made. But that lucky break has given Kevin the opportunity to call whatever Kevin wants to call and just zoom this along. Anywhere closer, I mean, what, it would have been 1,000 sets, you would be at 40k, and you probably would be a tiny bit more cautious. But even then, this is Akanashi, so you could just zoom ahead with a 10k lead.
Interesting here, we got a Tanya Sanchoku now for Aaron here.
Right, and there's 1 7-pin left in the wall. Unfortunately, Kevin also wants a 7-pin here, though it isn't Tenpai yet. We have Ishanten on the right, though, hasn't been able to make that Chanta conversion, would need the 9 so.
And nobody's really getting anything that's useful. I guess that 9 might be if you're going for the...
Yeah. I mean...
Because you're not really gaining anything out of that unless you're going for an Itsu, but then you need your pair, and then
Kevin's going to greed here, though. Kevin will drop the 5-6 pin, I think. No, that's surprising. I guess 2 7-mon are out.
I guess, but why aren't you dropping the 8-9?
Yeah, I would do the 8-9 mon if I'm not going to greed there. because it's as we just said, it's not
And
dead
now
and
you got
now
your
you can
door
lower.
pair.
But
Yeah.
if you didn't do that, if you dropped the 8-9 there, you would have a better Ishanten that can chi the 3-6 mon.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna greed, you would have dropped the 5-pin first. I don't know if you'd have, I don't know if you'd still get to the Yakuhai Itsu Dora 2, but you could have had a chance there possibly if you had just decided to pitch the 5-pin first.
Yeah. As such, only Tenpai per dealer. Much needed Tenpai 2 goes up to 33k. And as dealer, only
Boom.
needs a mediocre hand to catch up first place. Keep the Renchan pressure on. And this hand is the hand to do it already. 2 Shanten has improved immediately. Over on the right, though, we have that double south. So if you are Daniel, do you really
Gee.
want to open this for double south?
Yeah, I don't think you can. I mean, you need value unless you're just trying to end this and stop the bleeding. But
Right.
this hand also has value because you could theoretically make this like a Chanta Sanshoku type shape possibly.
Yeah, so you really have to cross your fingers that someone doesn't toss the south. One is gone as the door indicators already. So if your plan is, like we said, to keep this hand closed and go for the higher value, then unfortunately you just have to accept that you're going to have to wait only on the north and drop value immediately.
No, they given up on the Sanshoku, so I'm not quite sure, and probably the Chanta, so I'm not quite sure where they're gonna get at here now. And that
Well,
6-pin is just disastrous. So you're just
yeah,
like, I just want the 9. Give me the 9.
as is, I think, does make the right call to drop the 3-5 mon, because you can still draw the 9-pin and convert. But this 3 will deal, and this is a 3-4-7 wait for dealer. It's going to be a Chunomi, but with 2 Homba. That'll be, let's take a quick maths. It'll be over 2k. We'll just say that. It'll be 1,500 plus 600, so that'll be 2,100.
2,100. Yeah, they'll put them at 35.9.
I got stuck in my head trying to do the simple addition and then also thinking about the foo at the same time.
Wrong.
Oh, there's the 3.
There you go.
And another quick
Ooh.
hand.
This one's much better.
This could be high value if they don't want to call.
Yeah, you get a Sananko, Haku,
Oh,
Ishaten. Now you pick your Tanki now.
I would pick Hatsutanki. At least I'd pitch the 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Keeps both honors. Both are once dropped now. Both are still live in the wall. Oh, actually, the Hatsu is in Krellim's hand with a fast draw here. You snipe it. Yeah, so it's probably going to come out
Boom.
the next couple of turns. All right, Kevin contesting here. Oh, switches over to the 3-4 mon. It is better for sumoing, but
I guess.
Chi.
the psychological value is lower, whatever that means. I don't know. I think they're both fine. So Kevin here has made 2 calls now. It's a pawn of the
I guess the 4-mon comes out
there we
anyway,
go.
so it doesn't really matter in the end.
Yeah, they both look pretty to me. I think both are just. Oh, there we go. So it's all the luck from Kevin has gone straight over to Aaron.
What is this?
Well deserved as well. Let's see. I guess this time,
Double
you have-
Yakuhai Hoodie too.
this time Toyman has the Haku pair, so we're not going to see any Shosang and Daisang and shenanigans.
Chi.
Okay, yeah, you're going to take the chi there, and yeah, you're well on your way to the Honitsu.
Do you take the chi there?
Yeah. You have a double back here, so
Boom.
guaranteed the Yaku, and this is an easy gun. So I like this. Now, if you take the pawn here, you probably take 9-pin Tanki. Otherwise, you're going to be going for the 2-5-pin or 3-6-pin weight.
Okay, I was wondering about that 1-2-3 call because it's like I suppose you figure you're gonna get the
Boom.
Yakko high regardless. So I guess that in the end, it really doesn't matter. But
Oh,
I
awkward
was
draw
just
of that
wondering about
9
that.
pin.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you just can't. Any Pinzu and any terminal,
Oh my
honestly.
goodness. So Kevin just shoves that 8 pin back. And we've seen this a few times. When Kevin has like an Ishan 10, prefers to just shove and is rewarded here. We'll take the... Oh, decides not to Richi. Oh, you can't win with this hand. So I think if you're not going to Richi, then you probably shouldn't shove those Pinzu tiles either.
And if couldn't you have just discarded the 1/2 mon? Or are you banking on winning that 3 somehow?
Oh, what? Oh, now Tsumogiri Richi.
Eh?
It's alright. So Toyman Tenpai also 3 or 4 Sotanki. Takes the 3 Sotanki. Or Kevin is fairly vulnerable here. I think Kevin has equal choices, fairly equal chances of drawing a bad tile, and the 8 pin 3 times discarded makes the 9 pin 1 chance.
To me, that North shove by Christian was a bit of a shove. I almost thought at that point he would have reached discarding 3, so waiting on the North.
I think I would have liked that as well, if you're going to push.
Not just because Peitonki meme, but at the same time, you're looking across the way, and a North could easily be a logical wait for what Aaron has.
Yeah, Aaron decides not to con there. Oh, this 3-mon might deal in. If you figure it's pre-Richi Suji, but if you're paying attention, that's a Sumogiri Richi, so it makes it more suspicious. It's a Richi only. Yeah, I didn't like how that hand ended up developing. I think if you Richi, you just do it on the first one. And if you're not reaching, you don't shove the Pinzu tile into the 3-call dealer. That was also very dangerous. Alright, it is Daniel's turn for a comeback.
Hand's decent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Sanshoku Dora 1. Maybe Pinfu. And yeah, it doesn't choose to open there with the 1 pin, even though you have the guaranteed Sanshoku because it's a very small hand. And at that point, even though you get the repeat, small hands are not going to cut it.
Do if he filled in that 6/7 Sozu shape for dealer, do you just forego the Sanshoku, or do you just pitch it back?
I think at that point you probably have to forgo it and just take the efficient route forward. And in that case, I'm probably likely to drop the 1/3 so, given how much cheaper Manzu looks than Sozu.
Right. And plus, you can easily improve that weight on the Manzu side more than you could on the Sozu side for the 1/3.
Yep.
Okay. Now you switch to yeah, that's the Sanshoku is technically alive still.
Yeah, you draw the 2-mon. And you drop a 5, 6-mon, 1-mon. Alright, Kevin moves ahead with that Chi, takes an Atosuke Ishanten. He's looking for the West. West is currently twice in the wall. So
it might come out though,
2.
because there's so there. I was gonna say that with that Dora draw, now having a pair of that, were they gonna go Shanbone, or were they just gonna actually no? You couldn't actually work with the 3 pin anymore because you've already discarded the 5, so you're actually pretty much stuck. So those West weren't gonna come out anyways.
I don't know how I overlooked the fact there were 2 Western dealers' hands. I thought both were in the wall. But, you know, if you draw the 2-mon, you'll probably see the West drop. Because then, of course, you want to lock in the Dora pair, and you have a good shape Ishanten, and the West is relatively safe. Even if the first one is pawn, the second one will be safe. So that might be how it happens. But Kevin has actually
a call here, right?
Let's see. Yeah, the Chi is fine. I'm trying to think if the pawn is any better. Leaves you with a Yonlenke, but it's relatively weak this late. Yeah, I think it's fine to do it like that. And you give yourself, I guess you can still draw everything around the 6 pin and improve. Getting late though. Ooh, 5 pin, a little spooky, but you gotta push. Gotta push everything.
Yep.
And you
4
gotta start calling. Tenpai on the left for Aaron. That's going to be a K10 though.
That Summon doesn't actually help.
No, it doesn't. It's a Shanten neutral move. And yeah, would have needed to
Just
make a pawn
no
there.
help.
Yeah, I
Wow.
would have needed to pick a pawn on Kevin's discard. Or, I guess yeah, had to be Kevin's discard, I think. And then have to have gotten another call to Tenpai, so that wasn't going to happen, unfortunately. So we
ポン
enter South 4. Christian has fallen a long way from where they were at the beginning of this round. But Aaron and Kevin are still in contention here. There's exactly a 7,000 point gap between the two of
Boom.
them. There's one home on the table. And it
Now,
looks like Daniel's
interesting here. Yeah, Daniel was calling the Hatsu, just wants to end this, can at least get another
See.
8,000 points out of there should they win this. And you're saying there's a gap of 7,000. You don't want to pay into that Mongon and give up your first, so...
I'm not sure what the pause there was on that one, so maybe he was having thoughts of the Sanshoku, but
maybe? I'm not sure.
regardless, Ishanten across the way, it's going to be a south only, so it looks like Aaron is going to settle for a second here. It's a high scoring second, it's respectable.
1
And
There's
actually,
the Senpai.
if we see Kevin pushing a lot, which we
As
have
I said, he
seen,
could push it. He could push
Oh.
into that. Oh, never mind.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, Dila's going to be both first. Unfortunately, that's going to keep it's going to keep Christian below, and Daniel's going to recover some points there. So we're going to have Kevin taking a plus 33. Aaron's going to take a 16, which almost makes up for the last in the previous game. Christian's going to take minus 17, and then only 5,600 below, we're going to have Daniel take a fourth place in minus 32. It's just awful draws for pretty much the entire game, and nothing that he could have done during his second dealership.
Yeah, just unfortunate flip there, where much like I guess John and had a good first game, but second game not faring so well. Still managing to be positive, a little bit more better than John, sitting at around what's that 11.2. But yeah, Kevin the big winner here, at least to start with. Now
Yeah.
leads early on in the division.
A lot of crazy plays all around. Shoves for big hands, shoves for small hands. A lot of action. Very exciting to watch that, though. That's what makes it fun.
So actually, just checking over here. I don't know what we want to necessarily do, but originally B23 didn't look like they were going to run their games, but actually they are.
All right. Well, I'm good to go for another hour or so. At 11, I'm probably going to have to call it quits because it's going to be quite late here. But
Okay.
I figure we can get at least one more in.
Yeah, they started their game about 18 minutes ago, so...
All right, so in that case, I guess we're picking up here in South 1, Smaman's dealership. The point spread...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the point spread is one of those situations where everyone is kind of evenly spaced out. I mean, you have the big lead, you have slightly over 30k, slightly below 30k, and then a small fourth place. Only 10k below 30k. And with a dealership left, that's due to change.
So just to fill people in here, current dealer is Smallman, that's Blaine. To the right, that is Lynn. Across, as Toyman, is Anya. And to the left is Shane.
Anya was the third player in that match in Regional Open the playoff brackets, who was playing with Kevin and Aaron from the previous game, actually. So we get to see 3/4 of them, and I was the fourth player, so that makes all 4 of us present today. All right, looks like dealer here with a Rinomi, unless that North is drawn, and that's impossible at this moment. You want to draw the 3. You want to maybe get a chance to go to a 2/3/4 Sanshoku. Could be 1/2/3 as well. They're both kind of meh, seeming I don't think that's going to happen easily. Over on the right, though, we have that Honitsu brewing with the Dora too. I think you
Gee.
absolutely pawn the North if it comes out here.
Do you entertain a Honitsu at this point?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite good. You are Menhon Chitoi.
Boom.
Oh, I guess you were. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's 666. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Honitsu Ishanten now. And now you're Honitsu Ishanten. I got all 4 6 mons, so proved Ishanten.
Yeah, if you get that 3 mon, 5 mon, or 8 mon, I imagine there being a con probably.
Yeah, if you get the 8 mon, you might just toss the 5 mon in and take the 4/7. But if you get the 3 mon or the 5 mon, I could definitely. No, even then, if you get the 5 mon, you can have the 5/8/7. And I think 3. I don't know. It's complicated. But there are some cases where you take the con, I think. I'm just not thinking of any of them off the top of my head. Ooh, 8 mon. But you gotta think it's scary now. After that 9 mon.
Yeah.
Boom.
Probably gonna forge ahead and discard
Boom.
everything but the Monzu. Yeah.
We have Tenpai across the way to K10 winning on the 6-pin.
Ooh,
Wow.
interesting
Gee.
switch. I mean,
It's a slightly better Ishanten, but then you're 10 on the 6-pin, and you're going against the reason you stopped progressing your hand efficiently, which is you didn't want to drop the Manzu. And now we have a
Which-
Tenpai.
Yeah, exactly.
4, 5, 7, 8.
So wide. Although the 3 of the 8s are dead. The 4th one's sitting in Blaine's hand.
Oh, but now no matter what Tenpai you take here, you deal it.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Ah,
That's
that
just
has to be. Yeah.
uh
Okay, yeah, a bit too confident in that hand, and it ends up ruining. I have to get used to the players' names. It ruining Blaine's chances there. Let me move into South 2 though. So 36,000 point recovery will put Lynn in a good spot to contest her first here. Has a nice starting hand as dealer with the Yakuhai pair. No door at the moment, but easily accepts it at least twice. Over on the right is 7 so Anko forms, kind of mediocre shaped all around though. Across the way, nice 8-pin draw. Has a potential for 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku. Possibly just, 3 Dora.
another door, yeah.
Yeah, maybe just forcing Tanya at this point for Yakuhai to draw the Haku. And lastly, over on the left, 2, 3, 4 Sanshoku. The hand is 2 Shanten currently. I think you can even get away just tossing the 7 mon back so that you leave the Itsu chance.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that once, so
Boom.
discard. I thought if anything I might even pitch the 8-9.
Yeah, that's another option in trying to expand the shapes to something better. As is dealer pawns that Haku moves into 2 Shanten. We see the 8-9, so Kanchan does go out eventually from the left. Sorry, Penchan. Yeah.
Would you have called that 5-pin there? Are you for Shane?
For Shane, I don't see a way to call it that doesn't mess up your hand.
Oh yeah,
If you
because
call
it's
the
5,
5,
6, 7, and
yeah,
you
it's
mix up with the
only
8. Yeah, I know.
unfortunately.
For
If you
some
had
reason,
another 7, then yeah.
for some reason I thought that it improved it, and I was like, wait a minute, now that you still have the 8.
That being said, it has come a far way. It is looking a lot more like Tanyo now. But a lot of the central tiles, the 3 so, the 7 so, and the 5 so, are wanted by other players and already used up. 8-pin will probably come right out, and the dealer will probably cheat.
Cheat.
Yeah. So perfect D-Shanten. Nice light hand to shut everything else down. At this point, it's kind of scary. You only see one of the Dora. But you have a Simon Chan Tenpai 258, so I see 8 of them. So I think there's 4 left on the wall.
Dong.
Oh, and there goes one. 8-pin draw tempts that one out. Perfectly reasonable though when you have a Mongol chance. Ooh. Ipeiko Sanshoku Dora 2.
Yeah, I think that kind of plays itself.
Yeah, I mean, if you get improvement, like a 7-man draw, you'd probably get rid of the Ipeiko eventually, but you start with the Chun. Ah, that's a shame.
Yeah, the 3-pin's a shame, even though it does help your hand.
But yeah, you can Dama this hand no matter what Tenpai you reach with it. And you have at least 3 Han.
Exactly.
So 77 this dealer is nothing to scoff at. And
Yeah, considering Lin's already won the first game, like, yeah, definitely will just take whatever you can get at this point, because we take the lead this game. Oh, what?
Daimin Kan. That is interesting Daimin Kan because, well, I guess you gave up the 1 Han for closed 22 and you show your Yaku, but people were kind of expecting it already, and you're probably going to open the hand anyway. So I don't think that's too bad of a con, though it is definitely one that I would hesitate to take.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's taking the Honitsu on the suit that's neither of the Dora.
So Lin here with a tough choice. Oh, makes the interesting cut of 5-mon, preemptively Suji trapping the 2-mon and locking in the Chitoy.
I'm trying to see if I would agree with that, being somebody who goes for Chitoy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I go for Chitoy a decent amount, and I like having both options for a regular hand, can Dama on the 5-mon and Chitoy open. So I probably just toss the 2-mon back, or even go as far. I guess you could even cut the 4-pin if you feel like you want to force the normal hand instead. So this shot is once cut. Will make for a good tanki if the Tenpai is reached. Where are the 2-mon? Well, there's 1 gone, so 2 in the wall. And the 3-pin is actually 3 left in the wall. Oh yeah, that's unfortunate.
But it was called earlier, so he wouldn't have drawn it back, right? So
yeah, that's true. That's true. No, unless another call was made in between that I missed.
Not that I know of.
And Tenpai on the right. And Tenpai on the left. So Haku Tanki versus 9-so 2-pin Shadow.
Yeah, Lin coming to the Chitoy now at least saves them for now, because they keep the 9-so.
Yeah.
And that would be a good Chitoy weight, having discarded the 6. Also, not to mention the fact that you're looking to your left, and like that's a Sozu Honitsu over there.
Definitely. Several times now that Haku has looked like it might just squeeze out of Shane's hand. But none of the tiles drawn have been true upgrades. Oh, the 2-pin comes out.
Yeah.
And that's going to deal in for double non 2k. So we'll give Anya something to work with going into their dealership, and what a hand. And
Mm,
this is a tricky hand to play because at first glance you're going Honitsu Uga Buga, that's very easy, but it's going to be a Honitsu only at the moment.
yeah,
And of
and
course you give up the efficiency of the other suits.
exactly. Although I'm looking around, and if nothing else, she might have time to do something with it.
Yeah,
I don't
over
really
on the
see
right.
anybody else's hand looking all that fast.
Yeah, on the right, it looks fast at a glance as well. You see all those pins and shapes, but it's a lot of the same tiles. It's kind of awkward, actually. And then those honors aren't doing it any help. Across the way probably has a decent chance of contesting the dealer over here. Needs to form a pair, though. Over on the left. Very mediocre hand, but does have a door. And yeah, it looks like the dealer is just going to go for normal hand now with that 6-7 mon forming.
Oh, that's helpful.
Boom.
Shane finally finds something they can work with. Gets the call of the Shun Yakuhai there.
Yeah, and that's going to give an upgrade to Shane across the table in the form of the 6-0. If you draw the 8 pin or 9 pin, you're golden now.
Shane's hand just got a little bit more expensive.
Definitely. Though, unless you draw your 8-9 pin, you're looking at a very mediocre hand.
Oh, that's Blaine across the way. I'm talking about Shane to the right.
Smallman is Blaine. Oh, yeah, sorry. I keep doing that with the names that start with S. I'm just kind of like squinting at my team. I see S. Oh, okay, it must be Shane. S for Shane.
Each.
And a Richie. 7 pin. Pairs up the 7 mon into Tempest. That's one of the worst outs.
Oh. Well, Shane. Okay, that's interesting because like Shane could have theoretically pushed for some type of
Boom.
even
Yeah.
double Yakuhai Toy doesn't.
I mean, now
So
you have this
then
very
then you
awkward
push
wait.
again, and yeah,
It's
that seems like a
basically
hedge.
dead.
That seems like a hedge I wouldn't have taken if I was going to call and go forward anyways. I don't know if I would have discarded the 2 Wests to begin with, and I would have just shoved the 3
Yeah,
pin 5 pin and gone for the Toy.
definitely, because the 3 pin is an easy shove with it being the one chance, and then the 5 pin is a little more hard to shove, but if you get Tenpai, then you're perfectly justified in taking it. So a dealer
And now you're
chasing
fighting a dealer Ricci to boot.
or 7 pin. Okay, choose here and change. That will lead to a deal in. Could change here and that will lead into a deal in also.
Unless you discard the 3
yeah, the
pin.
3 pin, yeah.
No.
Oh, on the double row.
Oh no!
So Ricci and then Manga on
On the other side, there's a lot of pain.
yeah. And dealership does hold on the double
Yeah, I was
row.
gonna say he doesn't. I was gonna say Shane's not gonna deal in it if he discards the 3 pin, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was one of the ways to skip. I don't know why I didn't see that immediately. Too much excitement.
Look at Shane's hand again.
It's just, yeah,
Double
chop call of
non
Yakuhei.
Shun.
Hatsu is the Dora. You could pair that up.
Oh,
Your Chitoi Ishanten. And dealer's hand is very good as well. It's the easy Tanyao. Across the way, fairly decent hand. And then really to the
See.
left is looking more like a Chitoi 4 pairs. Kind of
yeah.
clunky, no value.
Shane doesn't even bother about the Cheetoy. He's gonna go for definitely a Yakuhai, maybe double Yakuhai, maybe triple Yakuhai. It's points. It's a lot of points over there.
And it's not even necessarily the points that Shin wants, it's just the move things along as well, and this is the hand to do it with. Yeah, you open yourself up to taking any calls, and the double Yakuhai guarantees the Yaku, so you don't care about appearing Gatosuke that much.
Now,
Dealer
Anya's managed to
Tenpai.
keep pace, get to their Tenpai. Shane's ruining the fact now that they had to do the door again, not that you would have known.
Right. So we have a 5-8 pin Tenpai for dealers, 5 left in the wall.
And now Shane's got a way to tiptoe around here and not worry about dealing into Anya. They can discard the 2 1-sos, if anything, now, even if it means a 5-pin wait.
You know, I just realized across the table, I might have kept that 9-mon and just forced a Honitsu because you're in a point position where you can't really go into all last winning a 1k hand.
The only reason why you might not is that you're not looking for a Honitsu, you're looking for Anko at this point. But that
Well,
would be
maybe
too
Anko.
slow.
Maybe
That's
cheat
too slow.
going.
It's too slow given what you see on the table.
It's too slow because Shane is in a wonderful Tenpai now for this Southern Tune, which are both entirely live. This is just disastrous.
And would you think that Shane is going for a Yakuhai with his first 2 calls? No.
No, it's Tanyao calls. The fishy thing is the first 2
Sumo.
discards. Oh, but it doesn't matter. You just sumo it. Double non, 816 with all that foo.
I mean, it's not a big hand eventually in the end, but still, it's just like, yikes.
Yeah, we go to all last now. So the score gap is significant. We're looking at least a let's see, 15,700.
It's 15-7, so technically a Mangon direct hit from Lin to Shane would flip it.
Yeah, but you do need a Hane Sumo or a Baimon Ron otherwise. So as long as we see disciplined play here, it should be Shane's game. Looking to the right, maybe it's time to start thinking about forcing big hands, Sananko, Suanko.
Yeah, I don't really see much else that you have there. Well, I mean, if you get a direct hit off of Anya or something like that, the difference is what, 11-5? So 11-5 divided by 2, 11-6, 5-8. That's not. Yeah, you'd still probably need to look at like a Mangon hit off of Anya to try to take third.
Dealer Tenpai here, 6-9, so it's going to be a Pinfu only. So I wonder, because it's so early in the game, you don't have an easy way to fold to the end if you just Richi this for even more points. But of course, that leaves you vulnerable to direct hits, which is what you want to avoid most of all, Lin. So just taking the 1k, move things along, go for a hand that is easier to fold with. But this hand is another hand that's asking to be won, so.
So the prior hand I think is fine because he saw no Dora. He had no Dora in his hand. His hand is just Pinfu only. I think maybe you just play a little bit safe there, win a cheap hand, and then try to move on. You directly hit Lin. Now he's out of Mangon direct hit Mangon range, and now you can probably play a little bit more freer at this point. You don't even need to take the win here. You're a little bit more relaxed in terms of maybe not worrying about losing your first. So I think that was perfectly fine on his part.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, nice draw.
But meanwhile,
he's
just going to draw tiles anyways and just win a hand and keep going.
So it looks like I have to imagine this is a Honitsu forced for Mangan on the right.
You'd have to, right?
It seems like the hand has enough potential that you should be shoving through it rather. Yeah.
You have another Yakuhai there, so I mean that's always potential for another Yakuhai. So
yeah, because otherwise it's too early to be thinking about just minimizing damage with that hand.
Ishan 10 now for dealer.
Possible 3-4-5 Sanshoku. I mean, when it rains, it pours. 3-pin is 3 times gone though, as of that draw. So Anya here, I don't really see Anya's hand as 30k material. You get reach to Moldora when you can do it.
If you can't get 30, you could at least swap with second.
For sure.
So 64 plus 28, they're sitting 9,200 off of second. The only thing yeah, unfortunately, the hand still doesn't look like it's worth enough to be able to get you there.
I wonder if on that one so draw from dealer, I would have dropped the 7 pin instead.
Yeah, because the 7 pin really wasn't going to fit anywhere anyways, right?
There's also this very, very slight gent to Itsu, but I'm more considering the safety of the tile than anything.
Exactly.
That 5 mon does help, though. Gives you a wider path. Tenpai, so 258, so 2-5 mon 3-6 pin, I think.
Yeah, and you can actually call for this too if you really wanted to.
Yeah. So if you call, you're going to take the 2-5-8 so or the 3-6 pin weight because the 2-5 mon is a free 10. Okay, so yeah, we call this and drop 2 so, or you can just pass and go to finish up the game.
Yeah, Shane wants nothing to do with that tune. My guess is he's just gonna close this out here.
Yeah,
Because he could if he wanted to keep going, he would have discarded that tune. And I think at this point, he's just decided, I think I've had my points. I think we're good.
Yeah, it's another hand where we haven't seen the Dora on the field yet. There's 2 in Toyman's hand, who is Shunten for maybe a Pangan. If you get Ritsumo Dora 3 or a 1, I think you still overtake. But no, after the direct hit, maybe not. Could get Ipeko Pinfu now. But it's looking like too little too late. This is Tenpai, but if you're dealer, I don't think you want to be Tenpai at the end. I would probably think about purposely breaking Tenpai at some point, because you can't just declare notes in online. Though, it would be nice to take Tenpai, drop Lin under 30k, and then end the game, potentially.
See, that's an interesting, because here's the thing. If Shane was really ditching, why would he drop that 7 mon knowing that to his right it's a Manzu Honitsu?
Yeah, so it has to be a shove prioritizing putting everyone below 30k and keeping the dealership unless something really cursed is drawn.
So I guess he wasn't bailing after all after getting that second tune, maybe? He might consider it now.
Yeah, definitely. The 7 so honestly isn't that bad.
Tenpai, isn't it? That's a Tenpai. Well, he was already Tenpai waiting for the 4. Now gets to Tenpai waiting on the 5 and the Chun.
Is there a 5 left? There's no tiles left to win there, so we can't say a Hote, but
yeah,
we'll have 2 Tenpais.
Which for Lin and Shane, they'll gladly take, because Lin gets to stay over 30,000. Shane gets to take his nice 50,000 point first.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no Haite Sumo from Angan left from Anya. It does get the 1,500, so profits 500 points there, and limits the losses to minus 10.9. So we have Slim with plus 36, Lin with plus 6.3, Anya with minus 10, and unfortunately Blaine with a minus 31 there. Yeah, that deal in did hurt quite a lot.
Yeah.
Alright, it's 10:33 now, so I'm probably game for one more.
I think that was it for them. I think they were only doing 2
right.
games, so that was the second game. So I think we're actually done here for tonight. But
in that case, do we have anything else that we want to recap? Any new announcements?
Nothing really. I mean, we're starting the summer league. In terms of announcements, signups for the fall league, we already have a couple of people signed up. There's always the possibility that if you sign up early and we need subs, you can get pulled into play. You can also get in some practice games because we do have a practice lobby that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if not for those things, there's always people willing to teach concepts and go over questions and logs even. So it's a great place to learn as well. A lot of experienced players and people of very different skill levels here. All right. In that case, I have nothing more to say. So I think we're gonna kick it off here and say good night, folks.
Yep. So for Eric, I'm Edwin, and Nathaniel's our director today. Thanks again for, especially to all the directors who make things a lot easier for us commentators. So for all of us, have a good night.